know, sometimes when we do the podcast, I'll start this out and I'm just like, oh, we got a weird hodgepodge of news this week. Oh, there's a stand for the Steam Deck. Oh, look, there's a Pokemon trading card that you can get now that some guy punched a guy over. Not this week, man. We got juicy scoops. We got 2 big juicy scoops of raisins.
Did that Pokemon thing actually happen?
Coming right into your brand. No, I mean, that was like several other stories all mashed together. So,
okay.
Yeah, we got all the juice. The juice is loose. Well, I probably shouldn't say that anymore.
No.
It doesn't really matter. Welcome back, everybody, to the RageSelect podcast. Here on RageSelect. I'm Juicy Jeff.
God damn it.
This is good.
And I'm Mike, because that fucking caught me the fuck off guard.
Yes. So, yes,
Jesus, loose.
we've got drama. We've got intrigue. We've got new announcements. We've got franchises resurrected from the dead. We got all kinds of stuff. But before that, we've got the obligatory opening where we talk about the stuff that we've watched. And you know what? I'm a few weeks late, Michael. But I watched episode 1 of Chainsaw Man last week.
Oh, that's right. That started.
Yeah, I've got 3 shows. I'm not going to talk for 20 minutes about each show because then this podcast will never end.
We just watched the show at that point.
We'll finally just be like, how long is the RageSelect podcast this week? It's still going on. We're just live streaming it for infinity. Nobody leves.
That would be super easy to do.
People come and go, and they just tag in and out. It's the eternal podcast. Like,
don't threaten them with a good time.
Yes. I don't know how we would get through all the news and it'd just be like, we get through all the news and it'll get through all the questions and it's like, well, I haven't been to Dairy Queen in a while. I don't know if that's interesting to anybody.
It's been a while since I've been to Dairy Queen. I've still ordered from them.
But no, I watched Chainsaw Man. Did you watch Chainsaw Man?
No, but all my friends all my old high school friends are really into it.
Okay. Like, I don't really know much about Chainsaw Man outside of episode 1, but episode 1 was great. Like, it was animated really well. It was super gory. It was totally the setup for some kind of bullshit shonen thing. Like, I didn't expect the main character to be such a sad sack. Like,
that's the much I know about him. Yeah.
The premise of the show is that it's like the main character, like, his dad dies, and then like at his dad's funeral, he's like the only one there, and he's by himself. And the Yakuza's like, "Well, kid, your dad owed us a lot of money, so like, you need to come up with 700,000 yen by tomorrow, or else we're gonna fucking kill you." He's like a 9-year-old. It's just like, what? And so like the main character gets into this like weird indentured servitude with the Yakuza, where he's killing demons for them, trying to make pocket change. And like when the show starts, it's like he's missing like an eye and a kidney because he sold off these organs to try to pay down this debt that his dad owed. And all he wants is to just like have breakfast with a girl and get a hug. And like his life sucks so bad that like that's the epitome of what he's looking for. And then of course he turns into the eponymous Chainsaw Man and starts chainsawing, one chainsaw on each hand and one chainsaw just sticking right out of his fucking face.
Remember when they first announced that as a manga? And they're like, Chainsaw Man. And they saw the image of him, like, what the absolute fuck is going on in anime? Because this was around the time that other manga started with the guy whose face is just the pistol.
Oh yeah, No Guns Life.
That was around the same time. They were both they both started around the same time, and I was like, "What is going on over there?"
we've gotten. There's so many mangas. There's so many animes now that like the only way to stand out from the crowd is you're like this guy. He's got an axe face. It's called Axe Face. It's about a guy called Axe Face with an axe for a face.
Also, his ass is an axe. What?
Yeah, that's his special power. That's what he does. His ultimate.
Still
move.
jiggles for some reason.
But no, it was really good. I'll talk more about it as more goes on. But I said I had 3 things. Another one is on High Dive, and it's Akiba Maid War. Like, if you want to experience the insanity on your own, just go watch it and skip over this part. I took it off of the Mother's Basement recommendation where he was like, if you have High Dive, just go watch episode 1 and skip over this part and don't listen to me talk about it. It is, I don't know what the fuck is going on in the show. What I know is that it's like an ultra-violent Yakuza story if all of the Yakuza and their enforcers were the maids that work at maid cafes.
Oh my God.
So like
that's amazing.
At the end of the first episode, there is a montage of violence, the likes of which I've never seen, where a lady in a maid costume is just straight up like super murdering like all the other maids from this one maid cafe in the middle of the street, also kind of dancing along to like the song that the other maids are singing in the maid cafe.
That's horrifying and amazing.
It was awesome. And then today I wanted to just put in a real quick recommendation for this. There's a show called Pantheon. Have you heard of Pantheon?
It sounds familiar.
It was an AMC show, but it's also on High Dive, and it's an animated show that was done by like the same studio that did like Invincible and those things. And it's a
I think I've seen images of it on Twitter.
The implication about it is that it's got some stuff to do with like minds in machines, like people uploading their consciousness to machines and stuff. But I watched the first episode of it today, and it was pretty cool. Can't say more than that. Seems all right. So there you go. If you need something to watch, which I don't know how you could right now, we're in the middle of like
There's so many things
to watch. You could pick any one of those. Michael, how about you? What have you watched?
Well, the one thing I just mentioned that I saw Black Adam.
Yeah.
I won't review it here since there's going to be a review for one of us, but I'm just going to say it's dumb.
Okay.
It's so fucking dumb.
Yeah.
But I still have
How
fun.
dumb is it?
It's a DC movie.
Oh. Is it
No,
dumber than
it's-
Aquaman?
I think it's dumber than Aquaman.
Is it dumber than Shazam?
No.
Shazam was very enjoyable, but it was
Shazam's
also kind
pretty
of dumb.
enjoyable, but
Like,
it's pretty dumb. No, it's not that dumb, but it's not as meta as Shazam was either.
it's dumber than the Batman.
I think The Rock could probably solve some of those riddles with his fists, but that's different. No, yeah, it's really dumb. I'm not gonna say it's not bad though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I just think it's like
Good dumb.
I'm gonna tell you guys up front. This movie's dumb.
Okay.
It's like watching Blade Trinity, but like fun still. So,
Nice.
is a good way of putting
That's
it.
a good recommendation. I really like Blade Trinity. Fucking Ryan Reynolds
It's
and
like-
Parker Posey, for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
like
it's that level of dumb, and you're just like, this is stupid as shit, but I really like this.
that movie is inscrutable.
Oh, absolutely.
Is inscrutable, especially at the end when Dracula starts doing wrestling moves on people, and it's just like, what the fuck? What the actual fuck is going on?
The backstory or the behind the scenes for Blade Trinity is way more interesting than that movie too.
Yeah.
Like the whole fact that Wesley Snipes was so not getting along with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They shot scenes with the stand-in most of the time. It was like that episode. It was like that 30 Rock where he's like, "I once filmed an entire movie in my car." It's like similar to that, but with Wesley Snipes basically, and I kind of love that.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Also, they had the CGI his eyes open at one point
What?
in the movie because I don't
No.
remember which sequences it is. I think it's when he's on like the autopsy table.
Uh-huh.
He refused to open his eyes. So they CGI'd his eyes open.
I didn't know that.
I found that out on accident like 2 years ago.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Somebody on Twitter mentioned it, and they're like, "No, I'm serious." And they posted the scene. I was like, "Oh my god, that is CGI."
Nice.
But other than that, I've been playing Ghostbusters,
Okay.
Spirits Unleashed. If you guys have probably already seen us play,
Yeah.
at least the first part by now.
Yeah, both parts.
Both parts should be out
Yeah,
by
this
now.
comes out on Sunday. Those
and
were
the Patreon is also.
Yep.
Guy, watch that Patreon, guys.
We
That
did
shit-
a lot more ghost. We did a lot more ghost missions in the Patreon.
That Patreon.
There's a
is
lot of screaming in that
nerve-wracking. I was so fucking nervous as you played those parts.
Yep.
Oh my god,
Yep.
I didn't get over it until I got home.
Yep. Also, if you're a patron, you should go back to last week and watch Michael be Frieza in Dragon Ball
The Breakers.
because
that was the best part of that entire game.
that was impressive. All right. Enough preamble. Let's get to the fucking things. We got a lot of things, and I got a lot of opinions about a lot of things.
Got a lot of problems with you people.
That's right. It's the airing of grievances. That's the other name for this podcast. The RageSelect podcast, parentheses, the airing of grievances. We had the Silent Hill transmission. Silent Hill is back, which should be not, if you're listening to this podcast, it should not be at all a surprise to you because we've been hearing nothing but leaks about Silent Hill games for like a year now.
Pretty much. But we always assumed it was a pachinko machine of some kind.
Well, yes, Konami has actually. Okay, you know what? I'm going to be okay. I'd like to do some compliment sandwiching here. Okay, this like what you see in this, because I don't think you got a chance to watch all this directly.
I only watched this first part.
It was a real fucking butthole love fest. It was just like,
Also, although I saw a clip of one specific thing that made me laugh.
we saw a trailer. We would see a trailer, and then they would like bring out the music guy from Silent Hill to talk about how much he loves the music for Silent Hill and how he can't wait to redo the score for this, and how every new generation of gamers are gonna. And then be like, and here's the art director, and he'd be like, oh man, I love doing the art on the original Silent Hill. I can't wait for a new generation generation of gamers to check out this brand new psychological horror. And they're like, here's a movie, here's the director. And he's like, man, I really love directing the first Silent Hill movie. I can't wait for a new generation of moviegoers to see this new I'm just like, Jesus, you guys. Like, there was very little in the way of like specifics about it. Was that thing that they do where it's a montage of like watching people in mocap suits and then developers talking about how just like, oh, we were so excited when we first had a meeting with Samban-san and we drank a lot of beers and talked about what we loved about Silent Hill. And I'm just like, I don't need any of this, motherfuckers. Like, tell me specifics about this.
I named my firstborn Silent Hill.
And also, okay, so that's oh, I was going to say good stuff. So the good thing I wanted to say is that, you know, Konami has been a flaming wreckage pile of poop in the West, right?
We have for a while now.
Last year, as you always got to remember, everybody, last year Konami made more money last year than they've ever made in the history of being Konami with Japanese games. Like, they put out a bunch of Japanese games and that Yu-Gi-Oh card game and like a bunch of stuff that it never even came over here. They fucking slayed it last year in Japan, but not here.
Yeah, we were given mostly remasters or collections, or not even remasters, just collections.
Yeah,
mostly collection. Three Castlevania re-releases, Getsufuma
Den,
and I think that's kind of
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh card game,
and I think that's it.
I'm pretty sure that thing made like a shitload of money. So
yeah, as far as I know, that's all we got out of them.
But when you come into this, 3 out of the there are 3 game projects, 1 movie project, and some kind of wackadoodle interactive fiction J.J. Abrams bullshit like in the middle of this.
Like, I saw that.
But those games, 2 of those 3 games are outsourced to United States studios, to Bloober Team and No Code. And then the third one, I believe, is being developed in-house at Konami. This, to me, is a very good sign because it means to me that Konami might be ready to start taking these fucking iconic properties that they own that they're not doing shit with and letting Western developers develop original games based on that. Like, we could see, you know, somebody take like Castlevania and make a new Castlevania for the West. They're just like, we don't want to do it. But for one of my biggest problems with Konami over the years has been that they don't want to do it, but they don't let anybody else do it either, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's what the issue seems to be the most. Like, the last Western studio that was allowed to make anything prior to this point, as far as I know, was the Lords of Shadow games, and they made the 3 of those, and that was it.
Yeah. So I'm hoping
I think that was like a European one too.
I'm hoping that changes things. Now, with all that in mind, that's a positive thing. Good job, Konami. Great. I'd like to see some of these properties that I'd love to see. I'd like to see them back in the mix again. Now let me say some bad stuff.
Go on.
There are there's the first thing that we see is the completely not a secret Team Bloober remake of Resident Evil 2. Right?
Silent Hill 2.
Silent Hill 2. Yeah, not Resident Evil. Yeah. There's a Resident Evil thing happening right now,
yes.
But we're not covering it. Great. They also announced a movie with the guy that did the previous Silent Hill movie, the first one.
Okay.
They're making Silent Hill 2, the movie, based on the exact same story. And I thought
1 was more based on 2.
Nope. They're like one because one had the cult and everything. That was more based on the first one, right? It had like the girl and the cult and all that stuff. It had Pyramid Head in it, but 2 doesn't have anything to do with the Silent Hill cult.
I forgot about that.
So then, like, he talks at length about how they want to translate Silent Hill 2 into movie form, and I'm like, okay, all this is all well and good, you guys, but like, it's like, I'm a little disappointed at the fact that it's like they're just riding the dick of Silent Hill 2. Like, Silent Hill 2 was great. Silent Hill 3 was okay. Everything after that was kind of bleh, too gross. And it's like, right, but why can't we make more? And there is more in here. I don't like how much Silent Hill 2 there was in this presentation.
No, I get that. One of the reasons I have an issue with it is the fact that they decided to jump straight to Silent Hill 2. Because I get why they did that to Resident Evil 1, because the GameCube remake existed.
Right.
And so it made sense for them. They'd be like, well, that's already there. You should be fine. There's nothing like that for Silent Hill 1.
Yeah.
It's just the blocky fucking PS1 game. And then it's like, guys, just like, come on, like throw me a bone here. Like, give me a even GameCube the fucking thing for all I care.
Right.
Like just at least remake 1 as well. That way it's not this weird fucking disconnect between the entire series.
So I do think that one of the reasons that they did this was because they had that incredibly disastrous Silent Hill 2 remake that came out for like the
HD one,
360. Yeah.
Well, everyone hated that one. As it was also the 3, right? It was a 2-pack.
It was 2 and 3, and so now the people can finally play a good version of Silent Hill 2 on the PlayStation 5 or Steam, but not the Xbox for 12 months because it's got 12-month exclusivity on the PlayStation.
Oh, it does?
Yes.
Make the dog ending canon.
It is. Well,
make it the true ending is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're only going to remake 1, at least make it the ending.
So, and then part of this is like, look, everything I'm seeing in this trailer for Silent Hill 2, I'm going to keep saying Resident Evil, and I'm not going to stop. Everything I see in this trailer for Silent Hill 2 looks very nice. It looks very HD and everything. It looks, like it's obviously for modern systems. But like, you know what I need to see instead of a bunch of people having interviews with each other is a 5-minute vertical slice to see how the game plays, because Bloober Team has almost exclusively to this point made first-person adventure games with very little combat in them. Silent Hill 2 does have combat, and they are doing it from a third person. So, if they're just making all the graphics prettier and redoing the cutscene, if this is the Twin Snakes of Silent Hill 2, then I guess that's fine. I would
love to see him doing like backflips and shit over Pyramid Head.
They brought in the director of Versus, obviously, to redo all the cutscenes.
Exactly.
Yeah. He jump kicks Pyramid Head so hard.
He finishes him in a fight in the rain or whatever.
So yeah, I think this is fine. I was really looking for more like extending the Silent Hill universe, and that comes next. But I guess the one thing that I have to keep remembering, Michael, and the one thing that everybody listening to this podcast should keep remembering, right, is that like fucking teenagers will not play a PlayStation 2 game. Like, regardless of if you just people are like, they should just upsample the original and do it with all the assets. And as near as I can tell, I think a lot of those assets are gone. But like,
they're mostly gone, and they're probably way too old.
But even if you did that, like, modern young audiences would just be like, go fuck yourself with this. Like, I'm gonna go play something that looks like a modern video game.
They barely want to play Xbox 360 games.
So in that case, like, it makes sense because you could sell this as a brand new, you can sell this as an experience to younger people who don't want to play older, crappy looking games, who didn't grow up with this.
Well, it helps that the good Silent Hill 2s are harder to get as well.
Yeah.
Because the only ones that are easy to get are the ones they hate, which is the 360
and
360 version.
Yeah. So, yeah. I didn't want to play Silent Hill. I played Silent Hill 2 one time, and I was like, I think that was enough times. I mean, when I went to art school, I sat next to this lady who was a friend of mine, and she was just like the Silent Hill super fan. Like, she would just be doing nothing, and she'd be like, so Jeff, I'm going to tell you about what Pyramid Head represents psychologically in James's subconscious. And I'm just like, Carla, I don't care. And she just start, and I'm like, great, okay, I guess I know this now. But so
it's his urge to order pizzas.
That's right. That's what it is. So yeah. The second thing that they talked about, I really don't care about any of this other horse shit. The second thing that they talked about was the no-code game. I don't know if that means anything to you, Michael. But
the Nokia game?
No Code.
No Code.
It is a game being made by a company called No Code, who made two games. That's PlayStation guy with his dumb shirt talking. Look at all this talking about fucking. Okay,
God, there's a lot of it.
There's a lot of talking. Like, so No Code is the company that made Stories Untold and Observation.
Oh.
Which were both just very like kind of weirdly hands-off games, and they have this teaser that has like this kind of this beach, and then it's got this like little handheld like 80s TV that's got a bunch of different stuff kind of flashing up on it. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is interesting, right? Like, these guys do good, unsettling psychological horror. So like, I'm much more interested in what this is, even though it will definitely be a way smaller project than than Silent Hill 2 remake.
Oh, absolutely. But I think that's a good thing in this case.
Yeah, it's also called Townfall, Silent Hill Townfall, and I really like that because it's like downfall but with a town.
It actually is not a terrible name.
It's easy to remember, even though I forgot it before we started. But yeah, it's a very brief teaser. These guys, when Stories Untold, they do a real good job of these kind of like tableaus of like desks and areas that have like kind of grungy stuff. And I'm like, okay, this is a creative team that does weird experimental shit. This is who I want making Silent Hill, is these guys, because they do weird experimental horror. And I want somebody to just give them a blank check and be like, do whatever. They publish under Annapurna Interactive, for fuck's sake.
That's
like,
true.
They're already artsy and fartsy. They're both fartsy and artsy. So
also, not to derail, every time I see one of those handheld TVs, I think of Treehouse of Horror Simpsons, Urge to Kill Rising.
Oh, I had one of those.
I always wanted one as a kid, but they were just real expensive back then.
Man, the batteries. It ate batteries like there was no tomorrow.
I'm not surprised.
You get like 2 hours, and then it was just like, insert 6 more double A's. And it's like, oh, fuck.
That's the price for portable television back then.
Yep. I begged and cried and wheedled my parents into get me one of those, and then when I got it, I was like, this sucks. You had to be like outside with the antenna all the way up, and you couldn't see anything in the sun, so you had to be in the shade, and then it ate the batteries super fast. And it's not like you could covertly watch TV, because the antenna had to be like fucking like 3 feet up above your head to pick anything up. So
well, that's what the television shows are always showed them as, without like with them holding it like real far down, or like hiding it. Like, there's no way that would ever work in real life.
Yep. So, yeah. But no, this I'm super excited about. This I really like. I don't know. I don't think you've played any of those games, have you, Michael?
No, none of those games. Two. I played Silent Hill 4: The Room.
I should have probably asked you that before we start. What is your general Silent Hill thoughts / history?
So I played the original Silent Hill 1 when I was a kid. My brother had rented it from the local Blockbuster. It scared the shit out of me because I was very young at the time.
Sure.
And then he bought Silent Hill 2, which I also played, and I really liked Silent Hill 2. I didn't play 3 because by then my brother had moved out, the one that was buying all the shit. But then my other brother, when I lived with him, he bought Silent Hill 4, so I played that one, and I was like, this one is just fucking weird as shit.
That game, when you were just trapped in the room, it really creeped me out. Like,
yeah, it's a really
I scared myself
game.
Harder than that game was actually scary.
It was a solid enough game, and then they made what was it, Downpour?
I think was there a PSP one between that?
There was at one point, but I think Downpour was the last one I played, if I remember correctly.
Is Downpour the prison one?
That's the thing, I don't remember. I think it was.
Silent Hill, for Silent Hill Origins, I'm pretty sure that was the PSP one. But oh my god.
It might have been.
Homecoming. Oh yeah, okay. Downpour?
I think that was the last one I played.
This was PSP and PS2 Origins.
Origins.
Homecoming. Was Homecoming the one where you were a soldier?
Yeah, if I remember.
Okay, I remember.
I never played that one.
The lady that sat next to me having a lot of contempt for this game because it was like, why would you make the protagonist of Silent Hill a soldier? That means that they can do combat well, and you're supposed to be this kind of hapless person fighting these monsters, not like some kind of vet that could shoot a gun and stab monsters real good and shit.
But they have massive PTSD, so good luck with that.
And then was Downpour the one with the prison?
If I remember correctly, it was.
Oh god, I played all the way through that for Spill.
I played.
Oh yeah, the main character is called Murphy Pendleton.
Yeah, I didn't get very far on that one because I was just like, this isn't very good.
That sucks. And then PT, and then
PT happened.
Yeah.
And then
we can actually skip pretty quickly through a lot of the rest of this bullshit. Because
when I was younger, I used to be the guy who's like, Silent Hill's better than Resident Evil, but then that didn't last very long.
Yeah. No, I can see it. I mean, it kind of depends on what you're into. So Christoph Gans, the guy that made the first Silent Hill, there is almost nothing in this thing that the movie. This is the movie. It's called Return to Silent Hill. And if you want to watch a fucking French guy talk about Silent Hill for like 20 minutes, you can do that. All I know is that like they show some like, oh, here's some production key art, like not even like filmed anything. And
I'm just amazed they let him make another one.
just looks like Silent Hill. Apparently, the first one did relatively well.
I remember people really liking it at the time.
I thought it was okay, but like I don't have a dog in the Silent Hill fight, right? So, like it was like, oh, they made a crappy Silent Hill movie, and I'm like, most of the games are crappy, you guys. Like,
he's not wrong. It's mostly just 1 and 2, and I guess 3 and 4. I guess it's just the first 4, and that's it.
I see. I didn't like the cult stuff in 1 and 3, so I like 2 and 4, and. No, anyway,
I get that actually. Yeah.
There's nothing here. There's not even a trailer. It's mostly just a guy talking about making a movie. So great, huzzah, fantastic. They also kind of spoil a little bit of Silent Hill 2 when they're talking about it with the images they show, but whatever. I mean, you'd think that if they were remaking Silent Hill 2, that they'd want to go out of their way not to show you major plot points that happen in Silent Hill 2.
Oh, no, they're stupid about shit like that. Like, look how awesome Silent Hill 2 was. It's like, that's a really important plot point you just showed.
Yep. So, from there, we have the aforementioned dumbass. From there, we found out the real reason that they're doing this is so they could sell 100 different types of merch, because they showed off all these statues. They had the. I don't know. I guess in Japan, Pyramid Head is called Red Pyramid Thing, because they kept referring to Pyramid Head as Red Pyramid Thing, like throughout this entire thing.
Doesn't roll off the tongue like Pyramid Head does.
Yeah, his head's got a pyramid on it. Call him Pyramid Head, you weirdos.
It's not that hard, guys.
Yeah. So like Pyramid Head statue, James Sunderland statue, Maria statue. Dog running the whole show from the control board to the Shiba Inu ending statue. Coinbank.
I kind of want that.
Coinbank.
I actually really want that. I wouldn't know where I would put it, but I want it.
It's pretty good. They needed the James guy, like they needed him breaking down on the ground as well for it, right?
It really sells it if you do that.
Silent Hill skateboards. Do you need a Silent Hill deck for your skateboard?
Of course you do, man.
They're even kind
of.
You
got to be as sick as Mary was. You know what I'm saying?
They're kind of bad looking. They should make. And what's funny too is that the entirety of this thing, nobody talks about PT. Nobody talks about. We don't talk about PT over here.
They don't want to invoke the name of PT.
Fucking trucker hats, dog plushes, T-shirts.
Oh my god!
Here's another. Red Pyramid thing statue where he's dragging the nurse behind him, so you can get that one.
I guess.
Here's the bubble-headed nurse statue.
I didn't know that was the name of them.
Here's the Pyramid Head is going to kill Maria when she's trying to get inside the elevator statue.
Why would you make that a statue?
Like this is obviously the reason that they did this was to sell hella merch, right?
Jesus Christ,
that's a lot. Like Konami went hard on this shit.
Everyone's gonna buy that shit. That's the sad part.
Yeah. Then they talk about this new thing. Okay, like as near as I can tell, Michael, this is some kind of like it's like a live stream like movie. It's non-interact. It's not like a game that you watch and then people will make decisions in the chat or in some kind of like an interactive movie thing about which directions the story goes, and then that will like permanently change the storyline. It's called Silent Hill Ascension, and like part of it is being made by Bad Robot, like, and there's like a special message from J.J. Abrams. They didn't even say it. They just read this note that J.J. Abrams wrote where he's just like, I'm super fucking excited to be doing the Silent Hill thing. Like, I don't know what this is. Is this online? Is this in a theater?
It's Twitch plays Silent Hill, Jeff.
I guess I would actually like to see Twitch play Silent Hill, but this is weird. I don't know what the fuck this is.
I don't know either, yeah.
This smacks of that dumb fourth thing when everybody wanted to make like cross-media events where it was like,
no, absolutely.
Also, here's a board game based on Dead Space. And it's like, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
It's also canon. It's like, why? Why would you do that?
Here's a phone game where you get to date necromorphs. And it's like, well, actually, I know a lot of people who would want that.
Yeah, that would sell really well right now, actually.
But yeah, I don't understand what the fuck this is.
I don't trust anything with J.J. Abrams' name on it.
Yeah.
I haven't in a long time.
The setup will be pretty good, but the ending will be shit.
Oh, yeah. Well, that or it'll be written by his son like that fucking Spider-Man comic was.
Yeah.
That was some bullshit.
Yes, here's J.J. Abrams' statement. Genvid's experience presents a wild, epic, and innovative new way to immerse yourself in the horrors of Silent Hill. You know which way I want to immerse myself in the horrors of Silent Hill? Video games. I don't need a new way. I don't need a pool, a jello puddle of Silent Hill to put my balls in. Like, I don't need a steam room that's hitting me with Silent Hill to go into. I don't need like headphones that play.
What if there were monthly snacks, Jeff?
A curated box of monthly snacks.
Exactly. A curated box of monthly snacks. Silent Hill.
I don't need that. What if it was a box of trash that got sent to you every month from Silent Hill, like keychains and stickers and
No, it's just bad movies made by J.J. Abrams.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, actually, I'll tell you what, man. I'd rather have Christoph Gans making a Silent Hill movie than J.J. fucking Abrams.
Oh, 100%.
He would just make it into fucking Stranger Things with Silent Hill. Like, it'd be a bunch of kids riding their bikes around Silent Hill trying to figure out how to get little Pyramid Head back to his parents or something. Like,
or it'll have a giant mystery that he never solves.
Yep. Probably.
And then gives it to Gantz and is like, solve that shit for me.
All right. And then we got one more thing. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. This is the last thing. This is called Silent Hill F.
I heard about this, actually.
I have some concerns. I have some problems. This trailer is very much this kind of like, okay, it's very stylized. It's a Japanese girl in like what looks like a very traditional Japanese town. There's like these kind of red tendrils that are growing out. You see her at one point like walking with like a pipe that's like bleeding blood out of the top of it, and then like she's real banged up and she's walking down the street and these tendrils are grabbing her, and then she tries to run and she tries to run, and the tendrils eventually kind of pop out and they sprout these red flowers and she gets caught, and then it kind of cuts to this thing where she's on this like boat made of like decaying flowers almost, and she's kind of going towards like a torii gate. They show she's got like all these flowers like on her head. It makes her look like Midsummer a little bit.
Okay.
She's got this kind of crown of like blooming chrysanthemums, and then like it shows like a tear running down to her face, and then her face is off. She takes her face off. I mean, not face off, but like it slipped off. Oops, my face came off.
Sure, I guess. What the fuck?
Right. So, okay. Like, what's the best way to go about talking about this? Silent Hill. Part of the charm of Silent Hill is the fact that it's like Dead Rising. Right? It's like a Japanese studio's idea of an American horror movie.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Right.
The fact that when the people discovered when the internet became really popular that one of the school settings is clearly based off of the school from Kindergarten Cop.
Oh, okay.
Because they don't have American schools.
Right.
So they just watched Kindergarten Cop
like,
and just remade that school in the game.
Yes.
And everyone was like, wait.
and I'm not trying to say I'm not just trying to be like Japanese shit. Fuck that. Anybody that listens to it should know that I'm not like, I like Japanese shit, right? Like I like Japanese horror games.
Yeah.
Clock Tower, Fatal Frame, all that shit. I like that stuff. The thing is that part of Silent Hill's like character to me has always been that it's based on Centralia, that it's based on this weird American town that is
just
covered
like Midwestern type city.
Yeah, this in the smoke. Like, so this is kind of interesting, but I think that you kind of lose the like if Silent Hill can be anywhere, then like Silent Hill is not interesting. Like this as this kind of like weird rip in reality where like you come to this place and it feeds off of your fears and creates these kind of like fucked up psychological situations to ensnare you and kind of fuck with you.
What made Silent Hill so interesting is that Silent Hill doesn't do that to everybody.
Right.
It's literally a town that. It's like if you were driving to like Uvalde and then Uvalde just went fucking foggy all of a sudden.
Right.
Like to everyone else, it's just a normal ass little city.
Yeah.
But to like you, for some reason, you get there and you're like, all of the psychological issues I have are now like taking forms of like weird nurses or some shit.
See, for me, it's just it's a whole town comprised of Taco Bells and all of them are closed right now. Like all of them are closed.
Yeah. So the idea that Silent Hill can just be in Japan. Although I like the idea of somebody going to Japan and buying a piece of land going, this is now Silent Hill.
Right. Well,
if the place is still called Silent Hill, I'll let it go.
I guess it brings up a more interesting question of like, I feel like I don't necessarily maybe even have a problem if they establish like, and maybe that's part of this game. You know, maybe I'm just judging this based on the trailer, which I am, which is why the fuck is Silent Hill in Japan, in rural Japan from the look of it, not like Tokyo or anything, like some like rural Japanese village, outside of the idea that like there is a weird intrinsic like horror connection between Japanese village and like spooky girl ghost, right? All the J-horror stuff.
Well, that's my issue with it, is that there's so many Japanese horror type things.
Yeah.
Why make Silent Hill also one?
Why also do it?
Like, it's like if you decided to make Fatal Frame, but it only took place in like Eden, Oklahoma, for some reason, and you're like, why? Why would you do such a thing?
Boy, it'd be really easy to find them ghosts out on the plane. I just put that camera obscura on the front of a tractor. I wired up a little hand switch here in the cab, and I just click my way through the cornfield.
Taped a bunch of them in my truck.
We like to go out on Friday nights, get tooled up, and fucking take pictures of ghosts, man. I want to play that game now. I actually want to play that game.
I play that game. But yes, but no, but you know what I'm saying, basically.
Make Silent Hill in Oklahoma. Make Silent Hill in like West Texas.
Oh Jesus!
Christ. Oh my god. So
I think we made a whole new genre of games, Jeff.
Oh man, fucking crunchy Southern fried horror. Where it's kind of like partial horror, but also just kind of a bunch of rednecks that don't give a shit. Like, fuck, Friday night. You guys hear the siren. All right, everybody come in the house. Get the guns.
Another set of ghosts.
Here comes that pyramid head fella.
Get the salt.
Jimmy, don't go out there and talk to him. I've told you. He will just fuck you to death.
What do you mean that's your idea?
So here's the thing. I don't necessarily think that this is going to be a bad game or anything.
Well, I don't think it's going to be a bad thing.
It's just weird. It's off-putting.
Yeah,
like
it's weird. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like if you made everything we said, basically.
You know what would be really interesting though is if we're judging this in a weird way, where like this actually because we don't really know very much about this main character. If the main character is like an Asian American girl
that just ends
who goes to Silent Hill and then Silent Hill reforms into this like village
that would be cool as hell.
To fuck with her, like that
would be pretty
especially
cool.
With the kind of midsummer imagery here at the end. Maybe your boyfriend's there, he gets sewn into a bear, you know, see what happens.
Maybe he's Carnage. That's where all the tendrils are from.
You just want everything to be Carnage.
I do.
Except for the movie Let There Be Carnage that I love.
That movie sucked. I saw a great deleted animatic storyboard that was like super violent. I'm like, why isn't the movie this?
Oh boy. All right. Well, that was Silent Hill. I mean, so there's some interesting stuff. It's kind of a 50-50. Like half of it was fine. The other half I was like, what? Why? What? Why? And I tell you, it's a lot easier when you have Jeff here to just tell you what happened as opposed to watching the fucking 45 minutes.
That's pretty long.
Like of just jabba. So, well, speaking of listening to people jabber, boy, I really should have put this before Silent Hill, but let's talk about Bayonetta. We're gonna do that.
Well, we're talking about all the crazy shit now.
Yep, we're in the shit. I think we might extend the opening segment a little bit to get through the shit, to get to the top of the roller coaster, so we can go down on the second half.
There's a lot.
So last week, Helena Taylor, the original voice actress for Bayonetta, put up a tweet in which she said that Platinum Games and Hideki Kamiya offered her a grand total of $4,000 to reprise her role as Bayonetta, and she was insulted and thought that was garbage for a game that has sold, she said, like fucking like what, like 450,000 or $450 million worth.
She thought something stupid.
It was a lot of money. And
the kind of money that if it was true that Platinum Games would not be in the state of it.
Right. Yeah, Platinum Games wouldn't be doing bitch work for Square Enix.
Yeah,
if that was the case.
They would have made 5,000 wonderful 101s by now.
Yep.
That's not a realistic number.
So okay, I'm gonna tell this story for me chronologically of how this worked for me.
Yes, let's start in the beginning.
So she put out this tweet. She actually put out 4 videos, but I didn't watch the other 3 until much
I didn't
later.
know she had 3 others.
So I watched the first video and I was like, oh, that's such a shame. And she's like, so what I'm asking people to do is boycott Bayonetta 3. Do not purchase Bayonetta 3, and let's all stand together against the tyranny of the corporate oppressors that don't want to pay me more than $4,000. What a bunch of bullshit. So that was the weekend, right? That kind of ruled the weekend. And then earlier this week, we got part 2.
It was The Empire Strikes Back, and not a way I expected.
Yeah. Part 2 was Jason Schreier coming out saying that he was able to take a look at the internal contract for Bayonetta 3 and that Helena Taylor was offered, what was it, like
4,000 per session.
4,000 per session.
And each session's like an hour.
Up to 4 hours. It was 4 hours per session. See, between 3,000 and 4,000 per 4-hour session for at least 5 recording sessions for a total of at least $15K minimum, $20K maximum.
Yeah.
Furthermore, he reported that apparently her response was to ask for a 6-figure salary as well as royalties.
Which isn't a pretty huge ask for anybody. Unless they're The Rock.
I mean, like, let's be clear here. Like, I'm trying to think of a voice actor that might be able to do that for a specific role, and I can't think of. I mean, like, you know what? I can see maybe like fucking Mark Hamill or Kevin Conroy like getting that. Like,
well, that's the thing.
Some totally iconic voices, like
super iconic, like big names, or even just like I can see an actor, like not an actor. That sounds degrading. No, I can see like a person who comes from movies asking for that and getting that amount.
Yes,
I can't even see Nolan North or Troy Baker getting that much money.
Yeah,
and those guys do all the games. And I mean all of the games.
Yeah, pretty much. So that came out. Then that was independently corroborated by VGC, Video Games Chronicle, that said that they had seen independently the same information from other areas. Actually, let's back up for a second. I forgot a key part of the story. Over the weekend, after this statement was made, somebody should have taken away Kamiya's Twitter login.
Oh, yeah.
Because he just went on a fucking banning spree and then eventually got his account locked down by Twitter because they're like, you're banning so many people. We think your account's been hacked. No normal person would ban this many people. And he put up this really cryptic tweet that was just like, such a shame when people say mistruths. Read my rules, because his rules say, like, if you tweet at me in anything besides Japanese, I'm going to block you, or he's a block guy, right?
Yeah, that was his gimmick. In fact, one of the Wonderful 101 rewards was getting blocked by Kamiya on Twitter.
Right. So, okay. So then Jason Schreier's story came out. VGC's story came out. Helena Taylor put out a statement saying that... basically saying, she said, I'd quite like to put this in the rearview mirror and leave the whole bloody franchise behind me. She said everything that was said about that was lies and has kind of refused to talk about it since then. Jennifer Hale basically came out and said, like, I am under NDA. I cannot talk about this. I will not talk about this. Thank you very much. But then she liked some tweets and made some other statements that made it seem like there's maybe more to this. This was kind of before the Schreier stuff came out.
Well, that's the thing, is every voice actor on the planet has come to Jennifer Hale's defense, because Jennifer Hale is one of the best voice actresses on the planet who would never, ever, ever take over a role from somebody who is being paid less money.
Right.
Like, they would, if it turns out they left because, due to creative differences or they don't have time on their schedule, then she would probably do that. But it's obvious she had no idea what was going on in this instance. And because, she's apparently really, really good at finding that sort of thing out.
Mm-hmm. There was another little piece in Schreier's reporting that said that after they had recast as Jennifer Hale, that Platinum did come back to offer Helena Taylor one voice recording session for $4,000 that would have been for a cameo, so she could just be in what might be the last Bayonetta game. Who knows? I've heard some stuff, but whatever. And that's kind of where we are. No hard documents. Nobody's put out like a contract. It's mostly just like Helena Taylor says one thing, Platinum hasn't even said anything. Jennifer Hale hasn't even said anything. The opposite side of this is Schreier and Video Games Chronicle.
Because Schreier works for Bloomberg,
reporting.
Right?
Yes, he works for Bloomberg. Now, I said this to Michael. Michael and I have talked this shit to death, so we're just going to rehash a lot of this. But like, I listen to Triple Click Podcast. I've read Jason Schreier for a long time. Schreier, in my opinion, has not been incorrect very often.
He rarely misses ever.
2, he's a huge fucking pro-union, pro-workers' rights lefty who I do not believe would carry water for fucking Platinum if he didn't think it was true.
No,
like,
absolutely not.
It's possible he could have been lied to, but that like the guy also does the third thing is he also does his due dilegence on a lot of this
stuff. That's the thing. That's the reason he makes sure to get multiple. I'm saying this as if they've heard the other part of this conversation. He's a journalist in the exact way you're supposed to be.
Yes.
He's not the guy who shows
He's
up.
not Twitter.
He's not IGN who's just like, I talked to a guy and he says that we're all cool.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I talked to like 5 or 6 different people
and somebody showed me some shit.
2 or 3 of them said the same thing.
Yeah.
And then they showed me some shit that made sense.
Yeah.
And then I corroborated that with some more people. And now I have a good idea of what's going on.
Yes.
Like, he is not one to just say something because one guy on Twitter said it like at one point kind of thing.
Another thing that I think today, like, here's the thing. I don't know Helena Taylor. I don't know who she is as a person. I don't know, like, what all this is about. I went back and watched the other videos that she put out. I don't know if you've watched those, Michael.
I didn't even know they existed.
Okay, but, like, some of them are real... Okay. The second one has this quote, and I'm going to read it. I hate when people say shit like this, all right? Like, regardless of whether this was her actual, like, she said this, it was a video of her saying it, so it's not like a quote or anything, but, like, I hate it when people phrase stuff like this because it sets off my, like, fuck you detector. So she said in the second video, I understand that boycotting this game is a personal choice, and there are those who won't, and that's fine, but if you're someone who cares about people, who cares about the world around you, who cares about who gets hurt with these financial decisions, then I urge you to boycott this game. I fucking loathe when people do that. Like, hey, man, do whatever you want to. All I'm saying is that anybody that isn't willing to come over and do what I say is probably a huge piece of shit that probably just doesn't have any love in their hearts for the rest of humanity and would probably kick a dog to death. And it's like, no, just say what you said. Say, if you don't boycott Bayonetta, you're a bad person. Don't say it's all right if you don't care about humanity. Like, fuck, I hate that shit
I hate those
much.
Weird fucking, they're ultimatums without being an ultimatum.
Yes. Seriously, it just makes my blood boil to read. And that's fine. If you're someone who cares about people, who cares about the world around you, who cares about who gets hurt with these financial decisions, then I urge you to. So it's like, okay, go to hell.
Fuck that.
Her third video has her very explicitly preemptively shit-talking Jennifer Hale, saying,
oh, fuck you.
Jennifer Hale is not Bayonetta. I am Bayonetta, and she better never sign anything as Bayonetta. I don't know if that's a thing that people do, but, like, it was a thing that she did. But it was very much, it's just like, no, this is my character, and whoever that lady is, like, she's not involved with this, and she needs to fucking, like, know her place and blah, 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 blah.
That's terrible.
And it was like, oh, boy. And then, at the last part, she had she pulled a Bible quote, a parable from the Bible.
Oh, fuck you.
Which also rubbed me the wrong way about, like, Lazarus, as this rich man dies and he's in hell, and he's like, you should have told somebody, and they're like, oh, Moses told him, and they were like, but I needed another person, send Lazarus. Anyway, bullshit. And then at the very, 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 very end of that, she also says, like, oh, yeah, and also if they try to make a spin-off game, boycott that too. Like, if they try to make another game from this franchise where they spin off Jean or one of the new character, the new lady, also boycott that. And I'm like, the longer I listen to this, the more it comes off as, like, vindictive.
Oh, it is vindictive.
Like, I thought that I had enough cachet to demand 6 figures in royalties. They said no. I said, well, then good fucking luck making Bayonetta without the voice of Bayonetta. And they were like, oh, yeah, we casted this other professional voice actress. Bye.
Yeah.
And she was like, wait, what? Fuck you. Actually, I'm sorry. There's another whole part of this where she talks about how, like, she talks about breaking her NDA. she talks about how like this situation has caused her extreme amounts of depression, how she can't sleep, how she has all this mental turmoil. She talks about how the financial strain is close to making her homeless, and how like if they break the NDA, they're more than welcome to sue me because I can't even afford to fill up my car with gas right now. What are they going to do? Repossess my clothes? That is literally something that she says. Is like repossess my clothes.
Jesus Christ.
Like, so
maybe her clothes are made out of hair.
So here's the thing. Like, okay, I think that if Helena Taylor, if the voice of Bayonetta was in such dire straits, right, she could have made a different set of videos asking, like, setting up a GoFundMe and being like, hey, guys, things are real hard right now. You know, here's girl Bayonetta. I'm here. I'll do some cameos if you want Bayonetta on your voicemail.
Normal things an actor would do.
Right. Like, and you know what? I got passed over for this job and it fucking sucks. Here's my GoFundMe. Maybe kick me a few bucks. You know, we can all fucking help each other out. Blah, 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 blah. But like the idea that this whole thing is so targeted on like, also the people at Platinum are going to hell. Also, I'm going to be on the street. Also, fuck that Jennifer Hale bitch. Also, it's like, what? Wait, whoa.
No, these are the ramblings of a crazy person. Like, actually, is what's actually happening here.
This is outside of the realm of what I would normally expect. And I be honest, I watched just the first video over the weekend. And I was like, that sucks. Fuck corporate. Maybe I will boycott Bayonetta. And then the more I heard about it, the more I was just like, wait, what? What is actually going on here?
Yeah, so the other thing is that people have been going through her Twitter history.
Yeah.
And they're pretty sure she's a terrible person.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the specifics, but they're all very specific reasons as to why they just think she's a terrible person.
Yeah. So I wanted to say more. I wanted to say a little bit more about this. Or I would say I would say one more bad thing, and then I want to go into like some better things.
Yeah.
I don't think, it does not seem, now this is a conversation that we can have in a larger context if we want to. I do not think it is the case that if you're a voice actor or actress and you get, or voice non-binary,
voice person,
whatever, voice person, and you get a meaty role like, well, let's put meaty in quotes, a meaty role like Bayonetta. Bayonetta's a vamp, right? But there's literally been
parts
like
in their mouth,
2 games, an anime, like some kind of spin-off bullshit, like, and now there's a 3rd game. But like, I don't think that getting the role, let's take it out of the Bayonetta country. I don't think that getting the role of Nathan Drake as a voice actor means that like, and now cruising on Easy Street, man, they're going to pay me so much and they're just going to call me up every fucking time that they need Nathan Drake back in another thing, and I'm just going to like cash those checks. I'm going to get those residuals. I think that voice acting is not like, you have to be Troy Baker to make a living in voice acting. Like, I think that a lot of people voice act in between other acting jobs or day jobs or things like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of instances. I was telling you off the mic. Diedrich Bader was on this podcast called I Hear Voices. Mm-hmm. It's done by the 2 of the voice actors for Kim Possible. Yeah, the guy who's Batman Beyond and the one who was Kim from Kim Possible. Diedrich Bader was talking about how he would love to only do voice work because he has so much fun with it.
Sure.
But it doesn't help pay his bills the way his actual movie acting and television acting does. And that's Diedrich Bader saying that sort of thing. He's not even like A-list celebrity.
Right.
Like, that says a lot for a lot of things. John DiMaggio had the fight for
Futurama.
Recognition for Futurama.
Yeah.
And all these people have to like the only time I've ever seen a voice actor just be not replaced or just be fine, or if you're the main character of super popular animes,
right? Like
the voice actor for Goku and Vegeta will never be replaced until they die,
right?
Kind of thing, because everybody knows them and everybody loves them, and they make 1 billion games, so they're consistently making money, even though the show has ended ages ago.
Sure.
Where that's not a thing in gaming normally. Like Nathan Drake isn't. He has the 4 games. Maybe he'll show up in another PlayStation All-Stars type situation.
Yeah,
they're not making spin-off animes. They're not making just thousands of games with just Nathan Drake's voice in it. He's not like Nolan North. That's why Nolan North does so many random voices. He did like a good way of showing how many voices or how low he's willing to do, or not, if that makes sense. Like as not like a super A-list. He did this one game called Secret Service or something. That's like this really weird first-person shooter where he plays a Secret Service agent, and that's like the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah,
and he's willing to do that, but he's also in Avengers. Like voice actors just take whatever they can get.
Yeah.
And it's insane.
And you know what? The thing is that I'm totally down if we as a culture want to decide whether we want to demand that voice actors get paid royalties or get paid more, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think that this is the way to go about it.
No. Well, it would have been if it was earnest.
Right.
Because this is the issue with what she's doing is that it started the dialogue for this exact thing, but the second that it was obvious that it wasn't in earnest.
Yeah.
It ruined the entire argument.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what's going on there, everybody.
Well, that's just the one weird fucking thing that's happened over the weekend.
Oh boy. How about let's see how many of these we can get through before we have to take a break. G4 TV is no more.
Nope.
And apparently everybody found out through like fucking tweets and shit. Like,
so I forgot it was I don't remember which specific one it was. I want to say it was Deadline or something. They posted a tweet.
Yeah, it was Deadline.
They posted a tweet going, "Hey, G4 is no more. We just got an announcement." And literally one of the first replies was one of their newest talents, who's the completionist on YouTube, going, "This is how I found out I no longer have this job." And then they through the word, like, they all just started popping up.
Yeah,
people replying to it, being like, "This is how I found out. This is how I found out." And some of them didn't even know until like the next day because they were busy with stuff, so they didn't even check Twitter.
Yep.
So it's just like, holy fuck.
I really do. So the thing is that the reason why I will never why I always have to have my huge grain of salt box over here that I always get my grains of salt out of whenever any fucking puke from corporate says anything is because they're all just like, it's with great sadness today that we announce that the family at G4 is no more. We've loved working together in such a wholesome environment for a long time. We really do feel like we're going to stay in touch and we're going to be the best of friends. We're going to the bar every Friday. And then you find out that it's like they said that, but they didn't call anybody and tell them that they were fired.
They told no one. Literally no one knew they were being fired from G4.
Yeah.
One guy was mid-negotiations, apparently, when they announced this.
Yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous.
I don't really know that much about G4 because I didn't watch G4 back when it was a thing, and I didn't watch G4 when they rebooted it. John told me earlier this week that the problem was that they just kept that that the corporate overlords were too skittish, and so they kept rebranding and like redoing stuff, and they would try something, and then like a month later they'd be like, "You didn't get all the hits, like change the name of it, put it on a different channel, do this thing over here," and that they never let it kind of settle, because in anything like that it's like you're going to need more than even a year of growth. Like,
100%. The original G4 was built on it wasn't even called G4 originally. I think it was called Tech TV originally.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of just technical shit.
Yeah.
Like straight up. Some of it involved video games. That's X-Play started around eventually, and then G4 slowly started becoming G4. What the people loved eventually. One of them, it had its own original programming. Well, the one that I remember the most was a show called Code Monkeys, which was a really funny show. It was a show about some game developers, but it was all made like
it was an animated show, right?
Yeah, it was all an 8-bit kind of thing, and it was really funny. At least I remember it being funny at the time. I was the perfect age for that, to find it funny. And then it had a lot of other stuff going on for it, and so people remembered it for X-Play mostly.
Yeah.
As well as Attack of the Show was another one, which Olivia Munn came off of. I want to say Jeff Keighley was on that originally, but I can't remember.
Oh.
But a lot of people from that spun off into like bigger things eventually. Some of them even became YouTubers, kind of thing. But eventually G4. It went downhill because they started only showing cops for some fucking reason, and so they it got canceled because no one was fucking watching this fucking channel. And then Spike TV tried to take over the idea of some of that stuff, and Spike TV also died.
Sure.
And so people forgot about G4 eventually. So when they announced that, hey, we're making G4 again, and they made it a contest to hire people, which was fucking weird. Where they're just like, we need talent, and you can tell us who you want us to hire. And it was really weird.
Okay.
Like, because they're like, so people were tweeting out, like, hire me, like, I'm really cool, like, kind of thing. And some of it worked. Like, one of them, the most famous one that worked was Xavier Woods, who is a wrestler. He was like, hire me, because I'm a literally WWE wrestler.
Yeah.
And I'm also a giant fucking nerd. And so they're like, of course we're going to hire that guy. But the other thing that I heard that was also causing issues afterwards is, besides what John had said, is that some people were asking for way more money than everybody else, and they were getting it, and they were getting it like per day, pretty much.
And
it was just, it bleeped
this was
them
a money
dry.
hole.
Yeah. So they were just it was a series of really bad management decisions.
Yeah.
Had nothing to do with the talent. Like the talent was all great people, but everyone just made really bad choices up high.
It doesn't seem like it should have been like a corporate owned thing anyway. It seems like it should have been like a fucking Patreon, Twitch, like live stream, like a real fucking, we're doing this in Sessler's basement 3 times a week type of thing, and not a fucking, here's the office where we all work during the day type of thing.
Well, that's the issue is that they saw it as a big a big opportunity, and every corporate person on the planet had their own idea.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work out.
Yep. And then, oh boy, I don't know how much time we got. It's just a little time now. Let's just go. Michael, I know you have a lot of feelings about this.
I have so many feelings about this.
Rooster Teeth has been melting down for about a week now.
Yes.
Some people basically got...
By the way, all of this happened in one weekend.
Yep. This is all happening in the same weekend.
All started in one
I was
weekend.
focused on Helena Taylor and that whole bit, but I think you were more focused on Rooster Teeth.
Yes.
I think John and Amanda were focused on G4. Should have had them come in to do the special G4 report.
It's kind of funny.
So what? Somebody left, and then it kind of like it spawned a bunch of Twitlongers.
Yeah. So what happened is that
You tell me.
Yeah. So what happens is Rooster Teeth is one of the entities owned by Warner Brothers Discovery.
Okay.
And so, they've been going around slashing things left and right.
Sure.
They finally got to Rooster Teeth.
Okay.
So when they finally got to Rooster Teeth, they just started pointing at things going, that's dissolved, without actually thinking about it.
Cool.
Because that's how they do things.
Boy, the Discovery Channel really turned out to be the supervillain of our current day and age.
I never would have been able to bet that. If somebody told me 10 years ago that the Discovery Channel would single-handedly destroy
the Discovery Channel,
many things.
Yeah, the Discovery Channel is canceling your favorite Rooster Teeth show. You'd be like, what?
I'd be like, I'm sorry, they did what? I'm so confused. So yeah, they got bought out by them a while back. But so what happened was one of the people that they laid off was a guy named Matt Bragg, because all this stuff is here in Austin.
Yeah.
And Matt Bragg is one of the most beloved of the Achievement Hunter guys. Works very hard.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, he helped make much of what its current output is now. And so people were sad originally about him being laid off, but then they laid off a few other people. But that accidentally caused a chain reaction where some of the ex-employees were like, you know what? I'm glad I got fired because fuck this place.
Yep.
And then people were like, what do you mean? And then every fucking Rooster Teeth employee came up with their own story as to why
Twitlonger after Twitlonger. Yeah.
One of the first and biggest ones was a transgender ex-Achievement Hunter worker named Kidin, Kdin.
Okay.
Who her pre-time is the best way I can put it because I don't know the exact phrasing for it. They were called the F slur.
Yep.
And I don't mean the F word, the F slur.
Yeah.
Which was then as their nickname in the office, which they hated, of course, because it's a literal fucking slur. It was a homophobic slur.
Sure.
And so they knew it was bad because whenever they were on camera, they called them thugs. Because it was like, why would, like, of course, it's awful, or else you wouldn't have changed their name
right
in front of fucking people. And then it turns out, they were also being paid less. They were getting thrown less credit for things. Like, it was a consistently bad how their entire time there was. And then it came down to the animators, the animation people being crunched and being told different things and getting lied to and all these. Like, it was massive. And then it just kept going. And then And then the achievement hunter people were coming out being like, I'm sorry about all this stuff. And they're like, we accept your apology. But then Jeff Ramsey, one of the guys who's the original founders, was like, I also apologize. They're like, well, you're also one of the founders, so you had the most power to stop all of this.
Yep.
So go fuck yourself.
Yep.
Which then also turned into a lot of other things. And then it spiraled into some of the other entities that are part of Rooster Teeth. Mainly the one that I was a big fan of was Funhouse.
Yeah.
I found out recently that because a few years back there was this sexual predatorial thing that happened involving one of the old achievement hunter people.
Right.
But at the same time, one of the Funhouse guys had all of his nudes leaked, where it turns out he was like masturbating in the office and just coming on everything, basically. And so people were like, "Well, he got fired for that," and so that was our original understanding of it.
Right.
Which from that by itself, it's like that's just disgusting. And then it finds out it's like, oh no, he also was a sexual predator. It's just that, and then but then we found out that Rooster Teeth knew the entire time.
Yeah.
And that 2 of the people left because Rooster Teeth wouldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And so it just that was another common theme in a lot of people's stories is that we told HR and HR was like, don't worry about it, just consistently.
Yep.
And then, or either that, or just like they wouldn't, like that Rooster Teeth one, or that Funhouse one specifically, he says he was laughed on the phone when he asked to fire the guy. Like just shit like that. It was just consistently like that. And they, as far as we can tell, things have gotten somewhat better, but only after the Black Lives Movement happened in 2020.
Okay.
Because they were called out for all of how bad they were with their minority employees, which caused them to so they started making sweeping changes from then. So a lot of current employees have been saying that things have been better specifically because of that. So most of these stories are slightly before that point.
Okay.
But that's the issue, is that Rooster Teeth has been around for way longer than that.
Oh yeah.
They've been around since 2005, 6, something like that. Probably even earlier than that.
Maybe even earlier than that.
They've been around for so long that that means that this has been going on for like a decade, basically.
It seems like a pattern that I've seen a bunch of times before. And I heard from people because, founded 2003.
2003. Well, in the beginning, a couple of years, it was just them at first, or the original people.
So I had actually heard, because Spill and Jason and there was some cross pollination. Not necessarily. I was never go to Rooster Teeth, but we had the last SpillCon was at RTX, right?
SpillCon was there, and Allison hangs out with Jeff's ex-wife all the time.
Badges to go to RTX from time to time, things like that. Whatever. I've never gotten the impression that it's anything but like one of those things where you had a bunch of people that had a good idea with a thing to do, and then they got super big, super fast, and then they just they never changed. They just kept hiring people. Like, there's a difference between having a business, you and me sitting on a couch recording a podcast, right?
Yeah, there's a difference between that and, like, say, the Draft House current state.
Right. And I also think that, again, if you look at what 2003 or even the early aughts were like, or even the late aughts, right?
Yeah.
Even fucking 2010 and onwards, like, you still could do that edgy 2000s humor bullshit, and a lot of people did. I refer you back to Spill. Now, whether that's, I'm not making any value judgment, but I will say that if you go back and listen to even me on Spill, there was a lot of it was a running gag. The Loading Bar podcast was a running gag about how Corey wanted to have sex with Nick, as if that was just crazy. Like,
it's the funniest thing ever. He turned himself into a pickle.
In any case, yes. Things like that would happen, and I feel like you would get these organizations where a small group of like dude bros would start up a podcast. They'd say whatever they want to, put on the internet, it would get real big. And then, like, they would never change. Like, so then new people would come in, and it would be, you hear this shit all the time of just like, that's just our sense of humor here at Dude Bro Incorporated. Like, we're looking for cool, edgy people who could take a joke. We're always joking around. I like to go to the bar and get wasted. And they'll be like, we bring in pizza on Fridays with beer. That's crazy, right? And all this stuff, nobody ever looked at anything but the money. They never looked at, like, what the corporate culture becomes if you have headstrong edgelord leaders that are completely unchecked in an organization that goes from like 5 guys having a fucking podcast to like, I bought an airplane hangar to film season 2 of our show in type of thing.
Our anime that we made.
Yeah, there's a difference between, and I actually, it's interesting you said that, because when you were talking about that, one of the things that I thought about was if you go back and you watch H. Bummer Guy's Ruby Sucks and Here's Why thing, and you look at a lot of the the interviews with the guys making Ruby, you can kind of tell that it's like an off the cuff shit show, that it's like, you know what it is? It's that thing, right? It's that thing where everybody, like, you're like, I've watched a bunch of movies, I can make a movie, I'm going to make a movie. And then you make a movie and you go, no, there's a reason why people like work for 20 years, like going to film school or doing storytelling or script writing or things like, you know, you think like, I'm going to make a video game. I played so many games. I know how to make a video game. I'm going to make a video game. And then you make it and it's like, oh, this is trash. And like, that to me was what Ruby always felt like, was a bunch of people who were like, I love anime. Let's make an anime. And it's like, yes, but you missed a lot of the steps, and so there's a lot that's missing from this. And in a lot of ways, I feel like the stuff that I'm reading here comes from the idea that like there's a difference between having 5 employees that are your friends and having 300 employees with an HR department. This, I feel like, is very similar to the stuff that we've heard out of Blizzard, where there's the untouchable like senior staff, right? That just do whatever the fuck they want to, and they're all just like, ha ha ha, isn't that funny? He grabbed your ass. That's just how fucking George is. And you're just like, no, that's not cool. And they're just like, don't. You know, it's fine. Just look. Just don't go around him. Just don't go around him. Like,
it was literally like, that's
that
like,
kind of shit. You know?
Most of the stories are very much that, and people like they're like, people were getting promoted because their dude bro friends, essentially, that kind of thing. Yep. It was all, you know, just nepotism and all back and forth. And
then all that stuff. I read a few of the Twitlongers that had to do. The one guy with the animation, what was it? It was like a dusty. I watched a little bit of it. It was so bad. It was like a nomad of nowhere.
Oh, that guy, the guy who got fucked over from because he pitched a show.
Yeah,
and they basically
took it away,
stole the entire thing from him, and
but there was
last second gave it back
between him and I believe the Kidden person. I think reading both of those, there was a thing where it was like
they're the 2 most extreme ones, I think.
This very much like, we're going to pay you salary, but we're going to work you 75 hours a week. And we're never going to pay a single drop of overtime. Yeah. Like, that shit happens way too often. And the thing is that Rooster Teeth, I think, leaned into one of the worst parts of that, which is, we're going to hire people that are fans of this because we can abuse them, because how cool is it that you work here and you get to see the people that you've watched on the show in the halls. You get to go to lunch with like your idols and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, like their entire hiring service was, hey, I'm your biggest fan. Are you now? Have you ever like stayed in a dark room by yourself for 100 hours a week? And they're like, what? And they're like, you're hired. That was the entire thing. Yeah. Consistently. And every story starts off like that, being like, I was a big fan. I studied specifically to work here. In fact, there's still tweets I see now of people saying that who did not get hired there. Yep. Which makes it that much more obvious that they would have always had a steady flow of these people if no one had said anything. Mm-hmm. And I found out even recently that somebody I know originally was offered an internship there when they made that game studio. Mm-hmm. Remember when they did that? I do. And he was offered an internship that was unpaid, but the hours were like stupid long. Mm-hmm. Like to the point where like, this is not worth it to anybody. Yep. Kind of thing. But I'm sure they filled it. I'm 100% sure they filled that fucking position. And they mismanaged the shit of that game thing too. Because I remember playing that game being like, this game is awful.
And you know, in a lot of ways, I sympathize, because back when I was working at Spill, or even when I worked for Brian, or even running RageSelect, right? Like, there's a lot of times where it's like I ask you all, the people that come and record with me, of just like, hey man, like I just oh, can we just do one extra day this week because some bullshit happened and whatever. And of course I'm not paying, right? But but
we're also not here for 12 hours a day.
That's true, yes. But I understand that what happens a lot of times is that you fall into a routine where you need to ask people for a little bit extra, and then that little bit extra becomes the norm, and then you ask them for a little bit extra on top of that because something happened, and then suddenly you're working people for 60 hours. The thing is that like that's the reason why I think that a lot of places, like if RageSelect ever blew up, Michael, I'm be honest with this, I've thought about this a lot. Like let's say tomorrow that for some dumbass reason that nobody understands, RageSelect fucking just starts dragging in money, like fucking buy a hangar money, right? Like hire a bunch of people money.
Yeah.
One of the things that I would do before anything else is hire somebody to run this organization. I am not a CEO.
Oh, no.
Like, I am not prepared to sit in the fucking Bobby Kotick chair and make the decisions about what the board talks to the shareholders about. And I don't want to. And I've seen too many places that go downhill because once they get to a certain size, they don't hire the professional people with the working experience to come run it because they're just like, anybody can make a movie. And then it turns out that, no, your movie is terrible, except in this case, it turns out your org is terrible. Like,
yeah, because we've seen it a bunch. We've seen it here with these two companies, the Draft House and the Rooster Teeth.
Yep.
Because a lot of the Rooster Teeth CEOs were people who originally founded it. One of them, the rumor is he left because he mismanaged millions of dollars.
Yep.
One of them left because they were just like, we just don't think you would be good at this, and as far as we know, they weren't. And then with the Draft House, what was his name? Tim something. So I'm going to call him Tim Drafthouse for now because I can't remember his name. But the guy, he was the founder. He's the big CEO.
Yeah.
But then there was that story about the guy who was harassing people. Tim League. His name's Tim League. I just remember his name.
Yep.
But he there's the guy who was harassing people, and then he hired that guy back without telling anybody.
Yep.
And was like paying him in secret to write things like as essentially ghostwriting, and it caused this huge fucking hubbubaloo. Because he didn't understand what the problem was.
Yep.
Because it was that sort of not dude bro, but like the idea of just like, well, he's my friend. Like, they took whatever he did wrong kind of thing.
Yep.
It's like, no, there's very obvious reasons as to why this was a bad idea. And if you had just hired somebody to tell you that, this whole thing would have never have happened.
Yep. So yeah, Rooster Teeth is taking a week off to regroup.
Yeah,
They'll be back.
It's been pretty brutal.
I'm not a fan of Rooster Teeth, so I don't have any real skin in this game.
One of the reasons I looked at it so closely is because I've covered RTX for one of us. I did it for at least 3 or 4 years there, and the only reason I didn't go this past year is because I forgot it was happening, because there was a gap in between, and so I decided. And so I was thinking about maybe doing it again the next time it happened, but after all this, I'm like, I don't know if I even want to. I don't even know if I want to go.
You can't do anything, man. You can't. You can't buy Bayonetta. You can't go to Rooster Teeth. You can't watch G4. You can't even listen to RageSelect podcast because we got to take a break.
Yeah.
So, but we'll be back. I don't know about the rest of this. We'll be back. We'll be back in a minute. Michael, that was a heavy part one, a long and heavy part one.
Yes,
I felt like I was in Silent Hill for part one, like just all the worst news, all coming back to back. But
pretty terrible.
But we're not done yet, because now we're going into other game news fuckery. I'm going to have to cut some stuff because there's too much this week.
It's too much, man.
One of the other things that came out over the weekend, or close to it, was a Discord message on the WB Games Montreal Discord saying that Gotham Knights will run at a capped 30 frames per second on consoles, current gen consoles.
Yeah.
There will not be any sliders, changes, any of that bullshit. It's just going to run 1080p 30 frames per second. When asked about it, the explanation came that it's like, well, we got to do that because of this asynchronous multiplayer, not asynchronous, you could play multiplayer with your friends on the same map, and they could just be over doing something else somewhere else. Like they could just be just wander away from you and go do mission objectives on the other side of the map, which to me honestly sounds horrible. Like why would I want to play Gotham Knights with my friends and it's just like I'm gonna be over here for a while? Fuck you. And I'm like, wait, what?
Just gonna hang out here. Fuck you guys. I'm Jason Todd. I do what I want.
Yep. So yeah, that happened, and then also we got the system requirements for the PC version of Gotham Knights, and they're pretty saucy. Let's see.
Explain that part.
So let's see. 1080p. Let's see. Okay, let me just see if I can find this here. Okay, i7. No, that's the big ones. GT. Okay. Anyway, sorry. We're not getting into this. Basically, like, okay, let's get to the bottom line. The bottom line is that this game is unoptimized as fuck. Like, it's basically just running real raw. Like, no, it doesn't matter how they put it together. Like, the fact that there's no slider, there's no change that you can make, like a switch between quality or frame rate on the consoles.
Yeah.
The fact that it's all running at 1080p, that none of it is running at 4K, right?
Which is crazy if you decided to only make it on the current gen consoles.
Yes,
because they canceled the other ones that this would have made sense for.
Yep, PS4 and Xbox One. Okay, yeah, minimum specs for Gotham Knights are a Core i5 9600 or AMD Ryzen 5 3600 and either a GTX 1660 Ti or a Radeon RX 590 to get the lowest quality settings.
So explain that to me, if I was, for people who don't know.
Right. So that's like a little far back. I think the thing that makes more sense is for 1080p at 60 frames per second, the minimum requirements are an Intel Core i7 10700K, Ryzen 5 5600X, and either a GeForce RTX 2070 or an AMD Radeon RX 5700 XT. These are like high-end specs for the like we're currently in the 3000 series of cards, right?
Yeah.
The 4000s are coming out soon. But basically, like, when you look at screenshots of Gotham Knights, it doesn't seem to be a game that looks so fucking pretty that you're going to need like super high-end shit to run it.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't seem like it's doing ray tracing on the consoles. That's definitely not doing ray tracing. It doesn't seem like it's running at 4K. Like, basically what this comes down to is that you need to have like a pretty high-end system in order to run this thing at 1080p 60 frames per second with high quality settings on the PC, and then the consoles are just straight up locked out of that functionality by running at 30 frames per second 1080p. Over the weekend in the Discord server, I was talking with somebody about this, and the thing is that I think that right now the deal that has been made between like gamers and game developers is that you can either run ray tracing 1080p 30 frames per second or non-ray tracing 60 frames per second, usually at 4K, and then there's usually some kind of in-between step. Like there'll be you can run at 60 frames per second at 4K native, or you can run at like 60 frames per second 1080p with a higher resolution. But basically what it all comes down to is that for what we've seen, unless there is something out there that shows us, the graphics in the trailers that they have shown us do not seem to be a high enough level of fidelity to warrant this low of a frame rate / detail settings for this game.
No, yeah, because every time we look at the game, it still feels like it's in current development.
Yes.
Is a good way of putting it.
Yes.
And they've delayed it a few times now, as far as I know, and everything about it is just so unimpressive. It
doesn't also help that it's $70 for the consoles.
Yes.
So, it's a next gen, quote unquote, or current gen, I should say. I keep saying next gen. The current gen game.
It's hard not to when not everybody can get a hold of it. So
right.
Which is the other thing that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
For Gotham Knights.
Yes.
It's an uphill battle for the whole fucking way.
Yes. Which is 100% unsurprising to me, because to me this game looks like it was slapped together with fucking duct tape and glue and like Jason Todd's magical Lazarus pit power double jump powers.
Yeah.
Like
Also, the special edition's like $300 apparently. I did not know that.
The whole thing just does not seem like it's going to be coming out fucking Millhouse, man. Like it seems like it's going to be what, 50 to 60 on Metacritic, probably okay. Maybe they'll patch it, but there's been a lot of side-by-side comparisons between like screenshots of Arkham City, or no, Arkham Knight, and then this game, and it's like they kind of look the same. And that was a PS4 game.
Well, some of it's that people saying that Knight looks better in a lot of ways, because Knight pushed that console to its limits. The Knight was one of the first games I ever saw on a PS4, and I was like, this is next gen, because that was one of the most pretty fucking PS4 games out there.
Yep.
And that was before a Pro ever existed.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, beware, take care. Maybe wait to buy it until tomorrow when the Dojo comes out. And I'm assuming at this point, this is before I've recorded it, but I'm assuming that we're gonna have a Dojo. I'm gonna try to get it on the PC just to see if I can get something out of it. Like,
yeah, because everything, because I'm just gonna say right now is that everyone on the internet seems to hate it.
Yeah,
I've seen tweets of people being like, look, I wanted to like this, but it's just not doing it for me. Greg Miller, I don't remember if I mentioned it already, was the guy who loves Avengers, was like, I played it one day and I don't want to fucking do this anymore.
Yep.
And that's saying a lot.
That does say quite a bit. Yeah. Let's see. A little shade. Callisto Protocol came out with a tweet that basically read, "We would love to inform you all that we'll be shipping globally on December 2nd. And yes, we have a 60 frames per second performance mode."
Just the fucking spiciest thing to do.
Yeah. I think a lot of it just comes from the fact, I was actually thinking about it, and part of it probably comes from the fact that like we are currently in a weird transitionary period where like anybody that started development on older game engines is probably going to put out games that have been in development for a long time that are going to run worse than things that are developed on newer game engines. Like,
yes,
if you started your development on an old custom engine or Frostbite or whatever, it's probably not going to be as impressive as the stuff that people are making with Unreal Engine 5 right now, just because of the technological enhancements in the engine, as opposed to the art direction or design or any of that other stuff.
That's the tricky thing about between from generation to generation.
Yeah, cross gen development.
Once we get to the point where finally everything is only for the next gen ones, that's when things will really start getting up the
saucy.
ante.
Yeah. Yep.
And people were, for some reason, expecting that with Gotham Knights, and that was not something you should have expected.
Frankly, I've since the moment that we saw this game, I've been like, this doesn't seem like a good idea. This seems like when Bethesda made an MMORPG like 5 years after MMORPGs were over. They're just like, how about a new Batman game where you don't play as Batman? And it's like, what?
Yeah,
what?
That was my favorite thing during the announcement. Like, the first thing they're like, by the way, Batman and Commissioner Gordon are super dead.
Yep.
Just like the deadest fucking things possible.
Yep.
So now you get to play these guys, and then it's like that gag where it's like it's their stunt doubles. It's
right.
like, what are you guys doing to me?
Right.
And it's just, it was a bad. Like, I know a lot of people were excited because they wanted a game that didn't involve Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the issue is that you still killed Batman like a fucking crazy person.
Yep.
You could have made it any other story reason as to why Batman's not there.
Also, man, I just don't know that the Court of Owls, like, not for comic book nerds like you, but like, to your average, like, I'm watching the Batman movie, the average, like, people know what Batman is, right? But like, it's like having it would be like if you made a superhero game where like Negative Man was like the main antagonist, and you didn't have any other villains in it except for this one guy where everybody's like, who is this guy and what is his deal? Like, oh, the Court of Owls, it's a bunch of faceless goons in owl masks. Like, who's the main guy in the Court of Owls? Is it the Owl? Is it Dr. Owlman? Is it Jonathan Allenson? Like, what? The Joker, the Penguin, the Owl? Like, I don't know.
Well, that's no, I actually get that a lot, actually. But that was one of the reasons I was excited originally.
Yeah,
was that it is a villain that isn't normally used in the general
And
general things.
I also know Harley and Mr. Freeze and them are in there.
Yeah,
as well,
but what I was saying was just the fact that like I like the idea that these would be villains that you could use,
right?
But then they started it with, but then they also started with, and Batman is super dead.
Yeah,
because it's like, well, the only reason I found it interesting to begin with was the idea that it was a group that Batman had no idea existed, and then he had like to fight for his life for it. Instead, they're like, no, he's just dead. Fuck you guys.
You know what would have been really super cool? One, take out the multiplayer, because just do that. Fuck that.
And just make it a Batman game.
And two, market it as a Batman game where 2 hours into the game, Batman gets killed, and then you have to transition over. I think it would have had a lot more...
And then he shows back up as Pliskin.
Yes, as Iroquois Pliskin.
It's me, Iroquois Pliskin. I'm not Batman. What?
No, I think that would have like really... I think that would have given the players a lot of like impetus to dislike the Court of Owls, right? If they got to play as the boy Batman.
Yeah, and then he
like
dies.
During the play, if they manage to work it into a place where no matter what happens, like you end up dying as Batman, and then it's like now you have to basically you have to avenge Batman with a new group of Avengers made up of all the other little bats, right? And pick your main one and then like unlock them all in sequence, and they have different types of like Metroidvania powers, right? Don't make them all equivalent with like, oh, everybody's got some kind of flying through the air thing, depending on what it is. Like, and then you could switch between them when you needed to, and oh my god, I could totally make this game and it would be way better than this horse shit. And I make it run at fucking 6,000 frames per second in 12K with all ray tracing turned on all the time.
And we'll call it Metal Gear Solid 2.
Then Snake shows up. Speaking of confusing video cards, NVIDIA is unlaunching one of their 4000 series cards. So I don't know if you were on the podcast when we talked about this, but NVIDIA, when they announced the 4000 series cards, there was a 4090, and then there were two 4080s.
Yeah, I remember us talking about that because we were confused as to why it was like that.
Yes. One of them had 16 gigs of memory. The other one had 12, but the one that had 12 also had like significantly fewer CUDA cores. It basically had less hardware in it. People were like, why isn't this the 4070? Why is this also called a 4080? Normally when you launch like this, it'll be like, or 4090, 4080, 4080 RX, you know, something with a thing to differentiate the two different 4080s. Yeah. NVIDIA decided, yes, you are correct. That is confusing. So they dropped the lower priced one because the upper priced one was 12 gig. Yeah, the upper price one was $1,200 and the lower price one was $900. So they took away the $900 option. Now you only have the $1,200 option and the fucking extremely expensive option. I don't remember how much the 4090
is. It was like $1,600, wasn't it?
Something crazy.
Something stupid.
Something crazy like that.
Either way, it was them being like, well, we got to change the name on the boxes now. So
yeah,
and we don't have time.
So yep, that happened.
So good luck, you poor sons of bitches.
Good to see that NVIDIA is still just like, video games are for rich people. Fuck you, poor nerds. Like
a bunch of poor bastards.
Why did they just rename it the 4070 and then just fucking sell that shit for $300 less? $300 is a lot of money to some of us, motherfuckers.
It's true.
Patreon.com/RageSelect. Let's see. Another. How about some good news, Michael? How about some good news? The QA department for Diablo 4 is voting to unionize.
Ooh.
Yeah. This is probably good. There's not really a whole lot more to say. Activision Blizzard tried to force the vote to be the entire studio instead of just the QA department like they did with Raven.
Yeah.
They did not succeed. They also came out with a big fat fucking statement about how like, it's so much better when you can negotiate directly with management. They even cite Raven as like, you know, since they unionized, we've only had 3 meetings about like what the overall compensation would be, and one of those is because they canceled on us, blah 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 blah. It's like, you know, guys, if negotiating directly with management involved or like resulted in people getting paid what they feel like they deserve, there would be no reason to unionize in the first place.
Yeah, this whole thing would have never happened to begin with.
Yeah. Yes, I don't really know that I have much more to say than that. Like,
well, I don't know if you've seen it, but they hired some person. I forgot their name already. Lou something.
Lululemon.
Well, I think that's their Twitter handle of all things.
Okay,
but they were hired by Activision, and they're like constantly in their Slack being like, unions are bad.
Yep.
Of saying basically what you mentioned, where it's like, well, the direct way of like dealing with each other kind of thing, and everyone's like, are you stupid?
Yeah,
it's obvious that you're just some crazy anti-union shill that will not admit that you're a crazy person at this point. And they double down every time on Twitter. They're doubling down consistently.
Yep. It's been pointed out before. It is incredibly crazy. It is literally insane that companies will spend a shitload of money to try to stop a union from forming instead of using that money to pay the people that wanted the union in the first place. Also, as has been mentioned on this podcast many times before, I will refuse to go back into it in detail, but QA testers are shat upon industry-wide.
100%.
In a real bad ways. Everybody should now understand in the video game industry that if you are taking advantage of your QA by paying them like garbage, treating them like shit, and making them work long hours, maybe consider being nicer to your QA department, because that's probably the first place that the union talk is going to go.
But they think they're people, Jeff.
Right.
They think they're people.
Just get up on the couch with us, the developers.
Exactly.
So
I keep seeing those tweets where it's like some sort of article, or it's just, or not even article. It was like a test, some sort of questionnaire. And it's like, what would people want more? The answers are like more pay, more time off, a pizza party, or it's something else.
Right.
And they put more pay. They're like, no, workers we're more interested in pizza parties than there are pay. They're like, you're a fucking crazy person.
Yeah, I think just not to
No, it was a ping pong table. That was the answer.
Oh,
the answer was a ping pong table.
Not to go too far down this road, but I don't think that corporate has yet realized that it's we're past this point. Like the pizza party, we all know what the pizza party is. We used to pretend like we didn't, and some of the younger ones didn't know.
No, we didn't for a while.
But now
we
it's
just really liked pizza because we were broke as shit.
Now it's out in the open, and free sodas and a pizza party on Friday is not a substitute for a living fucking wage.
No. There's always that great meme of the person drowning that high fives them.
Oh yeah.
It's like pizza party.
Yeah.
And they just keep drowning.
Yeah. So yeah. Good luck to you, gents. Good luck. Let's see from there. Let's keep talking about Activision Blizzard. Let's shit on Overwatch 2 for a little while, why don't we?
Oh God, what did they do this time?
Well, somebody in our Overwatch did the math of what it would cost if you got Overwatch as a free-to-play game and you purchased all of the cosmetics that were in Overwatch 1. So if you purchased all of the cosmetics from Overwatch 1 from the store with real money, it would cost $12,080.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That's fucking insane.
Yep. Yeah. Also, they did the math because you can buy skins for 2,000 coins a pop, right? But
it depends on the skin. But
it depends. Yeah, the high end skins are 2,000. Some of them are less. But you get 60 coins a week. You're capped at 60 coins a week. You can't make more than 60 coins per week in Overwatch.
Which is fucking insane.
So they also did the math about that, and it would take, if you did the weekly challenge every week, 450 years to earn enough coins to be able to buy all the skins from Overwatch 1.
Oh God.
That's I'm gonna keep on saying it, man. Activision is too fucking greedy. They need to tone it down by about 30% and let people get the rewards, because right now one of the big things that you're seeing is that people are really out there. We talked about this a little bit last week, but people are really out there just can we have the loot boxes back, please?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of tweets like that. A lot of tweets and a lot of YouTubers being like, I never thought I would say this in a million fucking years, but I missed the loot box in Overwatch 1.
Yep.
I miss it so bad.
Yep. You go back to last week's podcast if you want to hear more, because we talked extensively about how loot boxes are a better deal than this fucking battle pass. I actually didn't realize, because I bought that stupid Founders Pack, how the battle pass worked, and I watched somebody who hadn't purchased it, and like I watched how it goes, and it's like there isn't a free track and a paid track. It's like it's all one battle pass, but you only get every 5th thing on the free track. So all the levels in between those, you don't get anything. Like, you just get,
that's so weird,
like the ones, and then when you unlock it, like the super premium version gives you 25 levels. But I watched a guy on YouTube do it, and he was already at level 6, and it just went to level 25. Like, didn't take into account that
he already started.
Yeah, it's like, Jesus, you guys, come on. Like, this is ridiculous.
And the fact that, like, the original Overwatch 1 was just shut down entirely, which is the one they did pay for, is that much worse to me.
Yep. Let's see. We also found out this week when Bastion will be coming back to Overwatch 2.
Who? I'm just kidding.
Wouldn't surprise me. Apparently, Junkertown is also offline due to like a graphical thing that needs fixing. October 25th, Overwatch 2. I'm sorry, I'm allergic to Octobers. October 25th.
It's Febtober, Jeff. Everyone knows that.
Bastion and Junkertown and everything is coming back. Somebody, as well mentioned that, like, why the fuck did it take this long? Like,
so somebody online was making a Mandela effect joke online, where they're just like, a new Mandela effect. This Bastion character never existed. I don't know why people think they ever existed. Like, if you clearly go to the menu, they're not there at all.
Yeah.
So they've never existed. You people are crazy.
Yep. Yeah, you can't even like look at the previous skins you had for.
Yeah, he's just gone.
You can't put him in practice mode or anything.
Because Torbjorn's just locked. So that, like, was Bastion of all the only one that was straight up removed?
I don't know, man. Fucking look, I think we're just gonna have to create a new thing here on RageSelect, Michael. Certain parts of the video game industry are just a fucked up mess.
That's
right?
true.
Like, and it used to be that Activision Blizzard were not a fucked up mess. Now they are a fucked up mess.
They used to also not just be called Activision Blizzard.
Well, that's true.
Activision used to be the dude bros that showed up going, hey, you want to skate with Tony Hawk?
Yeah.
And now they're like, hey, you want to pay me a lot of money to maybe get something in Call of Duty?
Nope.
Also, what's your phone number?
I think they announced.
Let me get your digits.
I already had too many stories, but I think they announced that the phone number requirement was only going to be for PC for Modern Warfare 2. Consoles were going to be able to. I think they maybe realized that they were going to be cutting a lot of racist teenagers out of their voice comms.
Yes, a lot of them. I know the number thing also got dropped if you had a BattleNet account longer than like a certain time frame.
Yeah,
I forgot what it was.
Yep. Let's see. Speaking of stuff that's coming back. Edge Runners is not coming back for a season 2.
Dun, dun, dun.
Confirmed this week. So if you were hoping for more Edge Runners, that ain't happening. There were some interviews where they basically said, like, I honestly read between the lines on this story, Michael, and I think that what happened here is that, like, this was something that was negotiated with Studio Trigger. I don't think that CD Projekt Red understood that, like, as soon as this was done, Studio Trigger was like, here, fucking take it. And then they just went to work on the next thing that people are banging on the door to get them to do. Like, Studio Trigger does not have, they were just like, well, what should we do next? I don't know. Let's look around. Let's take some meetings.
Anime studios are not known for being like, and then we had like a few months left.
Right.
We took some time off. We talked to some people who might want a thing.
Mm-hmm.
There was a guy outside their door the second they open it going, anime? And they're like, okay, sure, I guess.
Do you want to make Axeman? I got the Axeman manga right here. It's been running for 40 fucking years in Famitsu. Everybody loves Axeman.
Here's my deposit. We're making it now. They're like, okay, back to the grind then.
Yeah.
Because Japan don't give a fuck.
They do not. By the way, similar to voice actors, if anybody wanted to hand me a piece of paper that was just like, Japanese animators should be paid more and have a better work-life balance. Oh, I'd sign it like 3 times.
Oh, I'd sign it immediately. They don't see the sun ever.
No.
They don't know who their families are anymore.
No. But yeah, so yep. Also, I didn't realize until I read this article on Kotaku that Studio Trigger did SSS's Dynazenon, which I fucking really liked. So
yeah, they're very, very popular, Studio Trigger. They do a lot of crazy shit.
This article, though, also does make a good point of saying, like, there are other anime studios.
Yeah, but we saw how that worked out for One Punch Man.
Well, yeah, but don't hire the crappy ones. Hire like a good one.
Yeah, but
and
they
wait
don't know
for
the
a few
difference.
years.
They don't know the difference, Jeff.
Yeah. Well, at least there's a book coming out.
Is there?
Yeah, there's a book called Cyberpunk 2077. No coincidence that is coming out pretty soon.
Neat.
So. Also, we got the news that there's a radio station in the new expansion, and the DJ is one Sasha Grey.
Who?
You might have recognized her as a naked person that you saw having sex with other people.
Probably.
In the early 2000s.
Is she on Twitch?
She is. She used to be an adult actress. She was in a few movies. She was in The Girlfriend Effect. She was in a few other things. This is Sasha Grey.
Oh, that person. She was on something I saw.
Google image search doesn't have a lot of porn, but it does have some porn in it.
Well, it's because the filter's fighting it.
Yeah. Dude, what are you talking about? I don't have safe search turned on. What am I, a plebeian?
Well, you didn't type in nudes right afterwards.
That's true. So yeah,
just hot.
Part of the expansion is going to be a radio station called 89.7 Growl FM, and Sasha Grey is going to be the host of Ash, the DJ.
Ash is a great name.
Yep. And they put it out there. They put out a little snippet of it. I listened to it. It seemed like it was fine. She was just being a radio DJ. That's kind of the easiest thing to do, right?
Well, being a radio DJ is a lot harder than it sounds for some people.
I mean, if all the dialogue is written for you.
No, but the affect, the way you talk about, the way you say the lines really sells it is the thing.
Sure.
Because you're either going to be the NPR dude or you're going to be the crazy wacky guy or the middle ground kind of thing.
Yep. So yeah, that's happening. Great. Let's see. From there, we also found out that Deadpool's coming into things as well.
Ooh, is it Nolan North? Please be Nolan North.
I don't know. He actually, Deadpool has taken over the Midnight Suns account.
Oh, geez.
And is like
Deadpool Suns.
Yeah, he's like, hey, they're making this game, and I want to be in it. Fucking hashtag Deadpool Suns, and like it's funny because they've got him like in front of a virtual green screen that literally has like folds in it. And so, like, when this little beach background is up, you could see where the folds are in the green screen behind him.
I definitely have to figure out who voices him then. We're watching it without the sound.
Yeah. But yeah, he's saying he wants to be in Midnight Suns. I mean, they make a really good point in this article. It would be really bad of this developer for Access to do this
and not put
him in the game. Yeah, whether
actually
DLC or something else.
If they had the balls to not put him in the game, I would love them forever.
If they just kept him out for like years and made like a whole.
If he's just like some dude in the background or something, like that's how they did it, I would be like, I love you guys because that would be so funny to me.
Apparently, a character called Hydra Bob is in the game already.
Oh, Bob's in the game?
Yeah.
Okay, then Deadpool has to be in the game.
And everybody's like, so that means this is probably going to be Deadpool.
What about AIM Bill?
I don't know about that.
AIM Bill was awesome.
It's not part of.
He was just Bob, but for AIM.
This article said that Bob wanted to join AIM, but he ended up joining Hydra instead.
Yes.
Okay.
He did it for the money.
I don't know anything about that.
Bob is this like really funny, like weird side. I hope Bob shows up in the third movie. That would be a great idea.
Yeah, I'd really like Deadpool in here. I'd really like to see him. I'd like to see his commentary on the crazy arcane happenings of the Midnight Suns.
I'd be cool with that.
And he also in his, I don't know if you saw it in the video, he also showed that he has his own costume. Like he designed his Midnight Suns costume, and it's just like
a little witch hat.
Yeah, it's just like a little kind of blobby stick figure of Deadpool with like a witch's hat and a bunch of stars and black and gold on it.
I hope that's what it looks like.
So I just like the fact that I didn't realize it until I full screened it, that in this video he's got his name in the corner like he's on a Zoom call and it just says Deadpool.
Oh, jeez, it does.
So, probably Deadpool's going to be in Midnight Suns. There you go.
Yeah, there's no way he's not with this much detail in his model.
Yep. Let's see. From there, we got the news last week that there's going to be a new Mortal Kombat game for for phones.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily like hugely against this because it might mean that my boy Eddie Boone has the money to be able to make really good video games if like this rakes in stuff. It's weird. This is not like the previous Mortal Kombat game where it's like a faux fighting game.
Yeah.
It's like a team-based multiplayer, like it's like Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes thing where you're like collecting heroes, which considering the roster of Mortal Kombat,
it's a great idea for Mortal Kombat, actually.
You know, they got enough. It's gonna have a story and stuff too. I mean, you know, I'll give it a shot. I'm not proud.
The thing about NetherRealm is they support their mobile games forever.
Yeah.
In fact, their Injustice 2 mobile game is getting a Black Adam update.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah, like they're going to put in a rock outfit for him in the Injustice 2 mobile game.
All right.
It's like, damn, they give that thing so much more support than they give the actual Injustice game.
Well, make Injustice 3, you cowards. Speaking of phone games, we got an interesting Verge article this week that talks about how Microsoft is building a mobile game store for phones. That part of their acquisition of Activision is King, specifically King and Call of Duty Mobile. I didn't know this, and again, this is like one of those Konami facts. This is like Jeff's facts that I feel like a lot of us gamers that don't do a lot of mobile gaming or whatever might not know this. 50% of Activision Blizzard's income is from mobile games.
I did not know that.
Like half. Like
it
half,
makes sense though.
Is from that stuff. But yeah, they're apparently looking to be like to bring all of the different studios that they're getting and the xCloud technology and stuff. And they're going to try to wrap it all up and make like a separate storefront on mobile devices for this. Now, that could work on Android. I will be interested to see who comes out on top in Microsoft versus Apple, because Apple does not allow that shit.
No.
They took Tim Sweeney to court for Epic trying to circumvent their store because they fucking Tim Apple's got to have his fucking get his fucking pint of blood whenever you buy a Clash of Clans or whatever. I don't know how phone games work.
I don't know either. But all I know is this is going to be a hell of an interesting thing to happen.
Yeah.
When it gets to the Apple side of it.
Yep. Because if anybody's got the muscle to be able to muscle their way through, it would be Microsoft.
That's a maybe.
The thing about Microsoft is, right, like Microsoft currently doesn't have phone asset, a big title, right? They don't have a Fortnite. So they could buy Activision Blizzard and just be like, well, you know, it'd be a real shame if fucking Candy Crush wasn't on iPhones anymore.
Yeah.
It'd be a real shame if Call of Duty wasn't on iPhones anymore. Oh, what's that? You're going to wait us out? The people that make the operating system for like 95% of the computers in the world? Like, yeah, okay, cool, man, cool.
We'll just hang out here.
Or what if this ends?
I'm gonna swim in our pile of money that you can't have access to.
Jesus Lord in heaven. What if they get slapped down by Apple and they just spend 5 years putting all the profits from fucking Bethesda and Activision and Blizzard and fucking Obsidian and everybody just in the bank, and like in the year 2027 they're just like, I'm sitting, well, I'm still be doing this in 2027. I don't know, maybe. The news is Microsoft buys Apple.
No, I want the news to be Microsoft shows up with giant horse at Apple's door.
Would it be great if every Mac computer that you booted up started with just like a really shitty, just like oh my god, no. What if they did nothing? It was all the same software, but they made the startup noise like the Windows XP startup noise. Like that's the only difference. It's just like when you boot up a Mac, you've got to hear the fucking Windows XP startup noise.
Oh my
because
god.
Fuck you guys, we won.
That reminds me of what my friend did to his PSP, where he changed the startup to be this the Dreamcast startup.
Oh yeah,
yeah. PSP because he thought it would be funny that it would be something else entirely.
Oh man.
Or play Mario on one of those.
Fucking crazy. But yeah, it's an interesting article on The Verge. It kind of goes into a lot of the different stuff because a lot of this has come from the acquisition stuff with the UK, part of their filings in the UK, and talking about why they're acquiring it. And it makes it sound like, I mean, that Call of Duty, yeah, you know, Diablo.
It's pocket change, really, as it turns out.
Well, it's part of it, but like it's not the whole thing. It's not the whole fucking plate like people think.
It makes their argument for when they, what was it, Brazil? Was it with Brazil? When PlayStation was like, if it ends up only on Xbox, it could be a thing. And they're like, it's bullshit, is was Microsoft's whole thing.
Yep.
The Call of Duty isn't shit. And it turns out they weren't wrong.
And it turns out, actually, that Xbox already took a stab at Apple, because once Fortnite was banned off of the Apple Store, you could still play it with xCloud through a browser on your iPhone.
That,
so, also, I found out that apparently part of Sony's contract with Activision about Call of Duty has some language that means that Call of Duty can't be put on Game Pass. Like, even if Microsoft owns Activision, the contract signed with Sony means that they can't put that on Game Pass. So,
and that'll eventually expire.
Yep. Let's see. In other mobile news, Netflix is bellying up to the plate to actually do streaming games, like not just because right now Netflix has those games you can get from Netflix, but if you do that on your phone on Netflix, you're installing those games to your phone, so you're just like installing them. But they want to take a stab at Stadia, GeForce Now, xCloud, that kind of streaming, as opposed to straight up installing, so that you could basically open the Netflix app and like literally just start playing a game directly inside of it or in a browser window or whatever. So.
I wish you the best of luck, Netflix. Crazier people than you have tried.
Well, the thing is that Netflix, one, already has a bunch of people paying them, and two, this is a value add, not the whole reason for you to get Netflix like it was with Stadia, right?
That's true.
So, because I think that GeForce Now works out really well because it taps into your existing Steam library. I think xCloud works very well because it's on top of Game Pass. You're also getting xCloud. So it's possible that, like, in fact, one of the things that they said here was that they thought that and I think that they're correct, that Stadia was like a good product that was marketed incorrectly, that was not marketed like.
Oh, absolutely. You remember all the weird ass marketing they did for Stadia?
I really do.
Early on, just dudes like in boats yelling out random shit about Stadia. And you're like, it's like none of this makes any sense to anyone who has no idea what Stadia is.
I don't know what that was. I will tell you this though. I think that the little chant that they had for their jingle, I thought that was good. I thought that was a good little chant.
I don't even remember
the
it.
little Stadia, just like this little notes like
that. Yeah, I'll give you that. That was memorable, but it didn't really tell you anything.
Oh boy, we're on the downward slide now, Michael. Bunch of Sims news came out this week. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but the big headline is that the Sims 4 is now free to play on all platforms.
Ooh.
They've been talking about doing this for a long time, and obviously they're doing this because vanilla Sims 4 sucks a bunch of donkey dicks, and you're going to want to immediately start spending money on expansion packs.
And their expansions are like the prices of whole other games.
They're pricey. There was a whole Sims presentation that I watched. I won't bore you with the details. I will say that one of the things that they said they're adding next year is they're adding babies. The current babies are like furniture, like they're in a bassinet, and so they're just a thing, right? Like your sim has to take care of them, but they're just an object in the world. Whereas now they're going to make them into individual characters that crawl around and.
When you said they're furniture, I literally thought like you were looking at a chair, going, "This is my son.
This is my son. This is my baby." The other thing that we got is a very, 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 very brief look at the next Sims game.
Oh, okay.
That is called. This is another big one. One of the things, they're partnering with this website called CurseForge to basically have an official mod front end. Like, CurseForge will be the official Sims 4 mod like site, and it will be directly integrated to be able to get trusted mods right in. So,
that's
bada bing,
good.
bada boom.
Fascinating.
Project Renee is the Sims 5. They showed a very, 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 very small chunk of it in their presentation. It basically was just like moving around like some furniture. So one of the things that they showed was like furniture having different like like being able to go into a much more granular detail when it comes to the furniture in the game. Like if you have a couch, like how many cushions does it have? What kind of pattern does it have? What kind of color is it?
Oh, okay.
But
Instead of just like placing whatever it is on
right,
there.
instead of choosing between couch and like literally being able to like throw pillows on the couch where you want them, which you can't do currently in The Sims.
Okay.
As well as being able to turn stuff at different angles, blah, blah, blah. And then the other big thing they talked about was that they're going to have a collaborative multiplayer mode where you can like basically invite your friends to work on the same house together. Like you can give access
Well, that's going to be chaotic.
to people to do stuff. Also, they very briefly showed off a kind of a demo of you play exactly the main game on your phone. Like,
Oh, okay.
it's not clear how, but like that there'll just be a direct one-to-one. So
That's a good idea for that kind of game.
yep.
But what if this kitchen had 10 ovens, Jeff?
The trailer that I was showing you before that I cut off of, it literally starts with like a bunch of people at a pool party. It's like a cinematic trailer, a bunch of people at a pool party, and then one of the Sims like builds a wall around the pool so everyone drowns and becomes spirits. And I'm like, this used to just be like sociopath behavior, but EA is now like, we know what you're doing.
We know that
we know what you do in The Sims.
We know you sick fuckers. You sick fucks.
You're all a bunch of jigsaws, just jigsaws for days.
Sick bastards.
Yep. So yeah,
We have the data.
the whole project or the whole video is really weird because it literally has like a dance number and like a person on the street interviewing people on the street. I skipped over all that stuff.
Sure, I guess.
So whatever. Elden Ring got a big update. 1.07 came out last week. Biggest change to this update was that single player and multiplayer damage and properties between weapons and spells and stuff are now disconnected, which is great because it means that now if there's some kind of horrible overpowered greatsword in the multiplayer meta that everybody's using because it breaks the game, they can nerf that greatsword without nerfing it for those of us that just want to use to hit the single player things.
Oh.
So things that are overpowered or broken in the single player game can now just be left as overpowered or broken for all of us babies who want to baby fucking sim crawl our way through Elden Ring. And then they can keep making adjustments to the multiplayer to make sure that the meta there is fair and balanced and all those other TMs.
All those Fox Newses.
Yeah, all the Fox Newses. But that's not all because there were a bunch of the data miners got into it and they found that RTX, like ray tracing, has been implemented. The beginnings of it have been implemented in a few different places. It's not finished and it doesn't look good and it's not turned on for everywhere, but some people have even managed to get into the files and hack that switch to on to see it starting because Elden Ring, it doesn't currently not have ray tracing. It's supposed to, and I fucking think that ray tracing would make Elden Ring look great. Think of the Erd tree casting like light spells, like some of the little.
It's
like,
gonna look fucking insane if it does.
Oh,
whatever turns on,
so awesome.
There's so many areas that I'm like, if this had ray tracing, this shit would be fucking crazy.
Yeah, like the way the dragon's fire comes at you and stuff.
The whole areas that are just darkness with like some light that would be fucking amazing to look at. Those wizards with how bright they are, shit would be nuts.
Some of those like big golden spells that happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
think of that Kamehameha that does or whatever.
Oh, Comet Azure.
Yeah. It starts with Kame.
It does. It's Comet Azure. It's a comet. Also, more information has been added to all of the Colosseums across the map.
Really?
Yes, indicating that almost certainly those are going to become PvP hubs that will open up that people can go into and specifically do PvP in. I'm so happy for that.
Gonna make some tournaments.
They also found some new hairstyles in the game and, again, new markers in the game files for where additional maps would go, like additional map data would be added, indicating that we are probably on the cusp of some big cool changes happening. Like, because I like the fact that this one did a very small boring change but splitting the way that the damage works.
Yeah.
Because that means it's like, okay, now we can just like give PvP to these 8 crazies. You guys go do whatever the fuck you want PvP. We're going to make some new islands instead of everybody having to figure out, should we tone it down by 2%? Because one of the things that happened with this is if you're playing single player, all of the mage spells got shorter cast times, higher damage. All the armor got buffed for single player because it was toned down to make it, reasonable for multiplayer, because you couldn't just wear armor that would negate all damage.
Oh, so they reverted the changes as well?
Not all of them, but they tweaked a lot of the single player stuff up as this new change happened.
Okay, yeah, because I remember that was fucking with people for a bit.
Yeah. So cool stuff in Elden Ring. Let's see. Real brief, Obsidian, the CEO of Obsidian, Fergus Urquhart, basically said in an interview that, like, they are very, very, very open. He is very, very open to doing another Fallout game because Obsidian did New Vegas. Everybody fucking loves New Vegas. Now that they are wholly owned by Microsoft, who also owns Bethesda, it means that fucking Fergus could go down to Todd. He can go up to Bethesda and fucking let me in.
Could slap Todd Howard and be like, bring it up to Phil Spencer, you bitch.
Yep. Slap the Fallout right out of Todd Howard's hands. It's mine now.
My Fallout, punk.
But it has been noted that this won't happen. If this does happen, it wouldn't happen for a very long time. One, they're already working on Outer Worlds 2. 2, they have that medieval RPG that they're working on. 3, Fallout 6 Elder Scrolls 6 has to happen before there's another Fallout game.
Yeah.
So technically, it would be the game that comes after Fallout, Elder Scrolls 6, after Starfield. So it's possible we may someday see New Vegas 2. Just please don't hold your breath.
No.
You'll die.
No. Especially if you're in space.
Bad news for Ubisoft. The director of the Splinter Cell remake has quit.
Didn't they just announce that like the last time we did this podcast?
Yep. Very close. After 11 years at Ubisoft, it's time for them to go on, quote, a new adventure, unquote.
Oh, jeez.
This, I think this is the guy that worked on, like, Blacklist and... yeah, like Ghost Recon Future Soldier, Far Cry Primal, a bunch of kind of B-tier stuff. But again, I don't think that anybody leaving Ubisoft is a good sign for Ubisoft.
It's never a good sign, especially right after you announce this big fucking project.
Yep. So yeah. We'll see how it goes. Ubisoft is on my list of those companies with the what the fuck is even happening over here?
Yeah.
Like what are you doing? Did you guys forget how to be company? Did you forget company? Like, do you need to go back to company school to become a company again? All right. Boy, that lightning round really caught us up.
It did.
Yeah. Let's go to some trailers. We got our first actual gameplay trailer for the new Need for Speed Unbound. I don't think you and I have talked about Need for Speed Unbound.
No, we've not.
I assume you've been aware of this and the fact that it's coming out in December.
Yeah, Need for Speed is really wants to be back on top.
Yep,
I feel, and they from the looks of it, they put a lot of work into it.
Well, it's Criterion again for the first time in a long time.
Yeah,
it looks a lot like a Need for Speed game. I'll be honest.
Yes, but it's got a lot of great little flourishes in it.
Yeah,
a lot of artistic choices. That
actually, you know what it reminds me a lot of is I feel like it reminds me a lot of one time where I watched a video of Initial D on like the PlayStation 2 or something like that.
I could see that actually, yeah.
It's kind of drifting style.
My cousin had that game actually.
Anime.
He was obsessed with Initial D.
Not as much drifting, but yeah, you can apparently do like side bets against like other people on your rivals list.
Oh, okay.
And there's also like a big risk reward thing where like the more races you do in a row consecutively, the more money you'll get. But if you lose, then you lose everything, right?
Oh, it's one of those.
But
high risk, high reward kind of thing.
Yep. But it looks good. Like, looks solid, man. I mean, I like Criterion. I wish they would make more Burnout personally, but
same. But to work with what you get.
Yeah. At least Criterion is a studio. All you can really hope for when it comes to something like this is you're like, well, Criterion, the studio, is not out of business.
Yes.
So conceivably, they might be able to make another Burnout someday in the future.
Maybe one day.
from there, we got 8 minutes of Dead Space, an extended walkthrough showing there was some that are some interesting, like, some side to side showing like the previous stuff. The big thing here that they show, Michael, is that it looks like they've got a lot of zero-G maneuvering going on.
Okay.
So this area that it used to be, you were just on the ground, because it used to be zero-G was like one area in Dead Space 1.
It's very specific areas. Yeah.
Whereas here, there seems to be a lot more just like, oh, there's no gravity in these areas. You can just kind of float around and do stuff. They mostly just showed the plasma cutter and the assault rifle, but all the lighting and everything and the detail, especially when they bring up original Dead Space, looks real solid, look real fucking, kind of like when we were at the beginning, we were talking about Silent Hill 2, just like real rock solid, high detail, cool particle effects, kind of looking game.
Look at that. They did part 1 first. They did 2 right away.
Take that, Konami.
Fucking crazy bastards.
I don't know how much of this there really is to show. They just show a lot of like, one of the things they do talk about is you're going to be more free to go backwards to older areas.
Oh, okay.
But then there's going to be like an AI director that will populate old areas. Like they won't stay cleared out. You'll get like more monsters back in areas than previously.
Yeah, that was one of the things, is that if you just cleared out an area, it was more just like the sound design that scared you.
Right.
Also, you could just memorize where people would pop up from.
I'm a little disappointed in this, that there is not a single stompy part of this. I don't see a single stomp in this whole fucking video. There's even a place later on where he's in this room that's like decontaminating, and there's all this smoke, and a bunch of those little tentacle babies come out, and he can't see them, and they get right up next to him, and he's like swiveling the camera around trying to shoot them at his feet. I'm like, hit the stomp button.
Stomp them babies.
Stomp them in the nuts, man.
Kill the babies with your feet.
Yeah. Fucking step on those babies.
Piss off Greg Abbott.
You know what to do. Oh, God. I thought you were talking about Greg Miller for a second. I was like, wait, who?
That would be weird, yeah.
The other Greg.
I'm going to see if I can beat this game with just the cutter like I did the original one, because that's all I did.
Yeah.
I did that. I literally never used any other gun in the first one.
Did you use the kinesis powers?
I did.
Okay.
But I used only the cutter as my gun.
I mean,
there was a boss fight that I used literally almost died in, and I used my last shot, and that's what killed it. I was like, oh, thank fucking Christ.
I don't know, man. Like, what else is there? Flamethrower, big saw blade thing?
I don't remember. That's the thing, is I don't really remember the guns because I never used any of the others.
Yeah.
Even in 2, and then 3, you had to make custom ones, and then I never did.
Yep, it's pretty iconic. But yeah, all this looks good. Like, I mean, Michael's seeing this video for the first time. What, Michael, do you think this looks good or bad?
It looks great. Needs more stomping, but it looks great.
There was an interesting thing here where you had the circuit, like there was a circuit breaker. I don't know if this was from the last one, but you had to make a choice between whether you wanted to turn off life support and then have to deal with oxygen, or turn off the lights and have to deal with it being dark. Like, you had 2 power units, and one of them had to go for the objective, and then the other one could either be life support or lights, which is kind of a cool way to do stuff. I also really like the way that the I don't know if this is full ray tracing, but even if it's not, the amount of like you have to like find these guys with the fucking light on your gun because it's so goddamn dark in here.
Yeah, there was that part early on where he's using the machine gun, and every time he had to reload, it was just pure darkness.
Right.
And he would bring up the flashlight, and there's an enemy like right in front of him.
A bunch of necromorphs just like right in front of him.
Yeah, because like I literally couldn't see it at all.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, that's really impressive.
Yep. So, yeah, good stuff. You guys go look for it. Still coming out in January, I believe. I think that's when it's coming out.
I think so.
Michael, you remember last time on the podcast where he said, oh, look, a Sonic Frontiers combat trailer came out.
Yeah, we did.
And then I said, I'm not going to look at that. Well, I looked at it, and do you want to hear something really weird?
What's that?
Actually, the combat in this game looks good. Like... There's like a whole upgrade tree, and Sonic has like a...
You're a sucker for skill trees, though.
Well, yeah, but like, I don't know. Sonic has like this, it's literally called a Sonic Boom, this kick that like makes projectiles.
Yeah.
And then there's like a little meter that like that fills up, and then when the meter gets to the top, you can like unleash this kind of like pow, 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 pow. There's also like a big attack where you like lightning your way through, and then you hit him in a kind of a cinematic fashion.
What's that, Jeff? You're into a Sonic game?
No. I think the combat in this game looks good. I think the enemies that you fight and the environment that you're in look like shit.
That's really the main issue, I think.
I think the combat looks fun. And I think if they made a more colorful game that
You're
looked...
going to hear first, guys. Game of the year,
Yeah.
Sonic Frontiers for Jeff.
Sure.
Put that on the box.
When does this come out?
I don't even know.
Is it in November?
It's this year.
I did the
it was the
schedule
same.
for
It was around the
November.
time of Call of Duty or something, right? Something like that.
Call of Duty is the end of the
No,
month.
it's around God of War.
November.
It comes out like either the week before God of War, or the week after it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the skill tree looks all right. I wish it was in a game that I wanted to play. The end. I mean,
Game
because
of the
it
year.
looks pretty cool, right? Like, it's Sonic. Traditionally, it's like, jump on stuff and then maybe like dash into some stuff. And it's all just like, I don't know, third person kind of moving around, building up gauges, drawing circles around people,
Well, it's
doing all
supposed
that
to be
shit.
more open, so that would make sense that they would need more variety.
But but everything that's not this in the background looks like absolute and total dog shit.
Yeah,
These
for the most
fucking
part.
weird ballsack dick monsters and like this empty desert with nothing in it. Like, bleh.
If only this was in Elden Ring.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sonic and Elden Ring would be interesting. Fighting giant lobsters.
Actually, remember somebody did the thing where they did all those model replacements and they
I
replaced the
forgot about
sheep
that.
with Sonic so that when they
Yeah.
roll away.
And then you had the outfit or whatever. The guys that were making those outfits.
Which outfits?
They were making like an outfit that looked like Sonic, and they would just roll as their attack. You remember that?
Oh yeah. Yep, those guys too. Yep.
Those guys are crazy.
We got a trailer for Disney Dreamlight Valley because we have the Ska's Kingdom update for October for Halloween, the spooky season, but not too spooky because it's a game for babies.
Yep.
Where
The Disney peoples.
Scar comes in with his bones and his he's a lion and there were so many better villains that you could have put in here that were not Scar, right? Like,
Yeah, but his original voice was Jeremy Irons. That was pretty cool.
no, I mean, like, yes, that is cool, and he's like a total vamp, and like this thing where they're doing selfies with him is pretty cool. But I don't know, like Maleficent or like Ursula or the fucking guy from Princess and the Frog.
That guy was pretty cool.
What was his name?
I don't remember his name, but
Oh,
it's voiced by
goodness.
the Shadow Man, I think is all they call him.
Yeah.
But he's voiced by Keith David, and his death scene is so brutal.
Yeah. I mean, some of these characters are already in here, but yeah, there's a whole spooky thing. You get like Halloween costumes, and it looks fine.
Be prepared, they said.
Yeah. Let's see. We got a launch trailer for Uncharted on the PC, which looks really good. I mean,
It's 4 and what was the name of the other one?
the Lost
Legacy?
Legacy, yeah. Oh yeah, I know why I put this on here. Everybody go play Lost Legacy. Fuck Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4 is dumb. Nathan Drake's brother's a piece of shit. And he sucks assholes. But Nadine and Chloe's fucking Himalayan adventure is goddamn amazing, and I love it so much.
Also, if you have a copy of just Uncharted 4, it's the upgrade to it is really cheap for PS5.
Oh, okay.
It's like really cheap because I think it was like $5 or $10 at most to get both of them in there, like in this version.
Yeah.
And it was very surprising.
Yeah, so go play the Chloe and Nadine's one. That one's good. I like that one.
And don't watch that movie.
What's that?
Don't watch Uncharted.
I still haven't seen it to this day.
Just don't do it.
I haven't seen it to this day. I didn't see Uncharted. I didn't see Sonic. I didn't see Pikachu. I didn't see Sonic 2. I didn't see any of them.
You should watch Pikachu at least. It's got Ryan Reynolds.
We got a launch trailer for Plague Tale Requiem, which apparently also has really stiff system requirements.
Well, it's got 1,000 rats on screen
That's true.
sometimes, so that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Also, it's gorgeous.
It looks really good. It's so strange to me that like this game looks like really good. And I mean, I'm like the first one, I think you and I played that.
It caught
right?
us off guard how much we liked
We were
it.
just like, holy shit, this is great. I love it.
It fucking started moving real fast.
Yeah. And this one looks like it's also really, really just zooming forward. Nothing I'm seeing in this trailer looks bad. Nothing I'm seeing in this trailer makes me not want to play this. So definitely got to check this out. Came out the same week where we're packed. I had to make a choice between Gotham Knights and a Plague Tale, Michael. And I know which side of the bat my bread is buttered on.
They call it the rats of us.
Yes. But
Nobody knows why.
looks really good. Let's see. We also had not one, but two controller trailers. We got another trailer for the DualSense Edge, the PS5 Pro
The
Elite.
fancy $300 of controller.
$200.
$200. Okay.
Yeah. With the
That's better? Question mark?
Yeah, it's $100 less, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Replaceable stick modules. You got the different sticks you get on there, different modes, different back buttons and custom mapping and blah 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 blah. Anyway, the big thing here is that we found out the price and the release date. It's going to be coming out in January, and it's going to be $200. So I
think I'm good.
I think you can pre-order it now. Anyway, whatever. January 26th, $2,200. Well, okay, you may be good with that, Michael, but what about an Xbox Elite controller that you can customize in the design lab?
How much are those?
I believe those are the same. I don't know. $149 for the Elite. I think
that's a little better.
I think that's the one that doesn't have any replacement parts. So you have to buy the parts by themselves.
I think that's the case, yeah.
But you can get it into the design lab, and just about every different piece of it can be a different custom color.
I feel like that's been a thing for a bit, but I guess they put more options to it.
Not for the Elite. You can do it with the regular controllers, but you couldn't do it for Elite controllers. Yeah. Which, I don't know, considering how popular this option is to people, like,
well, people love making their own like specific thing.
Yeah,
I was talking to a friend a couple weeks back. He spent like $300 making an arcade stick.
Oh, okay.
Mostly from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants it to be as custom to him as possible, kind of thing. So that's what this sort of thing is. It's the equivalent of like buying a fancy purse to match your phone or something, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But for gamers.
Let's see. What else we got? Minecraft had a big update, but we're not going to really talk too much about it because we're already way over time. The main thing to know is that Minecraft Legends, the real-time strategy game, is launching spring of 2023.
I forgot about that.
Yep. There's also like, I don't know, there's a Batman thing for Minecraft, and there's some new
and a camel.
Camels.
People love the camels, Jeff.
New camels in Minecraft. Watch out, they spit. Yeah. Apparently, what, like 2 people can ride a camel?
Well, that's neat.
So, Miles Morales, I should have put this by the Uncharted story, is coming to the PC on November 18th. So
yeah, think of the mods, Jeff. The mods for the cat.
I think I skipped a story this week that was just the fucking and that was a few weeks back where it was Saul Goodman in Spider-Man.
Actually, we did talk about that still, though.
Yeah. Well, okay, I might not have any good Spider-Man mods, but have you seen what Destiny 2's Halloween costumes are this year?
I saw a image of that one.
They're very. There was a poll about whether they wanted to be like mecha or like monsters, and mecha won, monsters lost for the second year in a row. And these things look, I don't know. This article says they look like Gundam, but they also kind of look like Sentai costumes.
It's a little bit of both. The main one looks like a Gundam,
yeah,
in many ways. It's also got like the Zaku's like weird arm thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the little L-shaped shield. Yeah,
it's that main one specifically looks the most like a Gundam because it's got a lot of different points. Like the skirt like area has that sort of middle yellow part.
Looks like a Gundam,
as well as the differences in color throughout it is very Gundam. But I remember seeing that image and I'm like, this is kind of cool, and it makes me tempted to try out Destiny 2 again.
No, it doesn't.
But I'm gonna not do that. But the other one looks kind of Batman-ish from that image. From the image that I had originally saw. But seeing it in that other image you showed of me, it shows more of the differences of it.
I think somebody in the Twitter reply said that it looked a little bit more like an Evangelion.
I could see that
with the little antenna on the head and the eyes and stuff.
Well, because that's the third one, but that one on the left, on the other image, looks like a Batman. If that makes sense.
Oh, right. Yep. And last but not least, Michael, I don't normally pay to like watch stuff online because I like to just watch stuff online. But they announced that there's going to be an Elden Ring jazz concert.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, like this is going to be on December 3rd. It's going to be live streamed. It's going to be at a where is it? It's going to be at the Hollywood's Bourbon Room. $75 for a ticket, but $25 for a live stream, and the VOD is $15 after the fact. But it's basically like these two just like super jazz dudes that are just putting on a concert where they're doing the Elden Ring music, but they're making it all jazzified.
No notes. I'm cool with this.
Yes.
Actually, my only note is if you could take that and replace the songs in Elden Ring with it, so you'd be fighting the jazz.
God damn it, that is what I wanted to say. Kenny Garrett and Takuya Kuroda. Kenny Garrett apparently is like he was taught by he's a Grammy award-winning jazz musician.
No, I don't follow jazz that much unless it involves a Gundam.
Yeah. So, but I've listened to so much of the music of Elden Ring in the course of playing it for fucking hundreds of hours that like.
Well, he was saying his mentor was Miles Davis.
Miles Davis. I didn't want to say the wrong person. So
no, I get it.
But yeah, I totally want to listen to like a weird jazz bar versions of all the music from Elden Ring, and then I definitely want it to be recorded and then modded into Elden Ring so I could play jazzy Elden Ring, just like doobity bop bop zoobity bop.
That's the thing is I love when people make different types of soundtracks. Ace Attorney has a lot of those.
Yeah.
There's and they're official ones. There is an official jazz Ace Attorney one. If I remember correctly. You can find them all on YouTube. You just look up the Ace Attorney Orchestra or Ace Attorney. Like I forget the names of them, but they're all out there. But I always love when people do stuff like that.
Yep. That's EldenRingLive.com. And that is all of the tabs. I didn't skip over a single story, Michael.
Did we not?
We did not.
Okay,
now, the
interesting.
podcast is like 2.5 hours long, but
it's fine.
We didn't skip over any stories. We got to say all the complaining. This is a drama. There was jazz. There was
a lot of jazz.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
So much jazz.
And all kinds of stuff. Silent Hill is back, baby.
Yeah, that's the thing that's still surprising to me, that Silent Hill finally like Konami's finally starting to be willing to let us have stuff again.
Yep.
And I'm cool with that, especially if it's not just Castlevania, because that's all we were getting for a bit. But they're all like, past releases. But it's been an interesting year for nostalgia type things, as well as just the newer things as well. I don't know. It's been a very strange year.
It has been a very odd year.
And I forgot to mention that Clerks 3 is now on digital now.
Oh, I'll have to check it out at some point when I get a chance. Yes, and that is it. Michael, oh my God, YouTube. I fucking know about YouTube handles, all right? They've been sending me this email over and over again.
What is that? I keep seeing that pop up.
Is
it like a love handles thing?
I think I don't know. I think it's just a way for YouTubers to, like, it's a shorthand. I don't know, man. I've got like enough subscribers that my YouTube channel is youtube.com/RageSelect, right?
Oh, yeah, there's not much else we can shorten it to.
I think there's something that you can like use to refer to other people, and they keep telling me like if your current custom URL will default to your handle. And I'm like, guys, I don't give a shit. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to bring back Stadia, and I'm going to post my fucking handle on Stadia?
They're going to use Google Plus, Jeff.
Google
Plus,
it back. Yeah, exactly.
They're bringing it back.
Like, I don't know. This just reminds me of back when they kept making new YouTube channels for me. I've got like 4 different YouTube channels because they kept saying like, we're going to make one for every one of your logins. And I'm like, no, stop it. So I literally have 4 different horrible channels.
I have 2, but there's nothing on any of them.
Michael, tell the fine folks of the internet where they can find you when you're not over here.
You can find me on oneofus.net. We do a lot of movie television reviews. My Black Adam review should be coming up soon, if not already. Just add a point or two to my score, because like I said, I did actually enjoy it a little more than what I had said on that review.
Yeah.
I just didn't, for some reason did not say it on the review, because I decided what did the everyman might think of this specific movie. And so take that review as that, but if you take my actual personal enjoyment, added a couple 2 points to it.
Okay. You just gotta don't consider what the audience thinks.
That's what Chris said. Chris said it was maddening.
This is what I do.
Yeah.
I'm me, and this is what I think. Fuck you. That's what everybody does online. Speaking of fuck you, go to patreon.com/RageSelect. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, if fuck you helps you go there, then fuck you. And if not, then I do not fuck you.
You bite my thumb at me. So
That's right.
On Discord
server, Patreon, bonus videos come out every Monday. Also, RageSelect doesn't go out of business. So 3 good reasons to go to patreon.com/RageSelect. Fuck, man. That was too much podcast. This is too much. Oh, wait. Is the next shift coming in? All right. You can sit down, you guys. I got to take a break. I'll be back.